Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto had the God-tier quirk Sage of the Six Paths Naruto x Mirko x Nejire Hado, My Hero Academia. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Collision of Worlds. The street exploded. Concrete chunks flew through the air as pedestrians scattered, screaming. A massive figure covered in metal plates smashed through another storefront, laughing as glass rained down around him. "Where are the heroes now?" the villain roared, his quirk-enhanced arms crushing a car like it was made of paper. "Too busy with the big attack downtown. Guess that means I get to have all the fun here." Nejire Hado had been grabbing coffee when it happened. She'd just finished her internship hours for the day, still in her hero costume, when the villain came crashing through the shopping district. Now she stood in the street, blue spirals of energy already forming around her hands. "Everyone, please evacuate calmly," she called, her usually bubbly voice firm with authority. As a third-year UA student, she didn't hesitate. "Head toward the subway entrance." The villain spotted her, grinning through his metal mask. "A student hero? How cute." Nejire blasted a wave of spiral energy that caught him square in the chest, pushing him back several feet. But he dug his heels in, barely budged. "That tickled," he sneered, winding up for a devastating punch. The air suddenly tore. That was the only way to describe it. A rip appeared in the space between Nejire and the villain, a jagged tear in reality itself that pulsed with golden energy. Both Nejire and the villain froze, staring at the phenomenon. "What kind of quirk?" the villain started. The tear expanded with a sound like thunder, and a figure came hurtling through, crashing into the pavement hard enough to crater it. Dust billowed up, obscuring everything for a moment. When it cleared, a young man stood in the impact zone. Blonde hair, strange whisker-like marks on his cheeks, and eyes that shifted between blue and an otherworldly gold with cross-shaped pupils. He wore an orange and black jacket that had seen better days, and he looked confused as hell. "Where?" he started, then spun around just in time to see the villain charging at both him and Nejire. The newcomer moved so fast he seemed to teleport. 1 second he stood in the crater, the next, he was between Nejire and the villain, catching the massive metal fist with a single hand. "Whoa," Nejire breathed. The blonde stranger didn't even strain against the villain's strength. "I don't know what's going on," he said, his voice surprisingly casual for someone stopping a punch that could flatten a car, but attacking people in the street. "Not cool, metal guy." He shoved the villain back with enough force to send him skidding halfway down the block. The stranger turned to Nejire, revealing eyes now definitely blue, the gold glow fading. "Hey, I'm Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Any chance you can tell me where I am?" Before Nejire could answer, the villain roared and charged again. Naruto sighed, turned, and did something with his hands. They moved in a blur that Nejire couldn't follow, and suddenly 3 perfect copies of him appeared in puffs of smoke. "What? That's amazing. Is that your quirk? How many can you make? Do they think independently? Can they?" Nejire's rapid-fire questions cut off as she watched all 4 Narutos move in perfect sync. 2 clones flanked the villain while the original and the third leapt over him. The villain swung wildly, his fist passing through 1 clone that vanished in smoke, only for the remaining 3 to land simultaneous kicks that sent him flying into the air. "Uzumaki barrage!" Naruto shouted as the villain crashed down, thoroughly unconscious. Nejire's eyes widened in excitement. "That was amazing. You took him down so fast. Who are you? Where did you come from? Was that a warp quirk? But you also have clones. Is it a dual quirk? Those are super rare." Naruto dismissed his remaining clones with a puff of smoke and scratched the back of his head. What's a quirk? And seriously, where am I?" Last thing I remember, I was fighting this masked guy who was messing with some kind of space-time jutsu, and then, his explanation cut short as police sirens wailed in the distance. People were cautiously coming out from hiding, phones raised to record the mysterious blonde hero who'd appeared from nowhere. You don't know what a quirk is? Nejire tilted her head, curls of blue hair swinging. That's your power, right? The clones and the super strength and whatever that gold energy was. That's, not exactly, Naruto started, then stiffened, looking around suddenly. There's another one. Something feels wrong. Nejire felt it a second later, a pressure in the air, like before the tear had appeared. She turned to see another rift forming about a block away, this one darker, more ominous. We should probably check that out, Naruto said, already moving. Wait. The police will want to, Nejire started, but curiosity won out. She followed, using her quirk to propel herself alongside him. I'm Nejire, by the way. Nejire Hado. Nice to meet you, Naruto replied with a quick grin that transformed his face. Even if this is the weirdest day ever. They reached the new rift just as something emerged, not a person this time, but a strange device that hovered in midair. It resembled a metallic sphere surrounded by rotating rings, pulsing with the same dark energy as the rift. That doesn't look good, Naruto muttered. The device scanned the area, a beam of light sweeping over buildings, people, and finally stopping on Naruto. It beeped rapidly. Target acquired, came a mechanical voice. Sage energy detected. Yeah, definitely not good, Naruto confirmed. The device suddenly expanded, its rings spinning faster as it shot toward them. Nejire reacted instantly, sending a spiral of energy to intercept it. The blast connected, but the device merely wobbled before continuing its approach. Naruto's hands flashed through signs again, and he inhaled deeply. Fire style, fireball jutsu. A massive ball of flame erupted from his mouth, engulfing the device. When the fire dissipated, the machine still hovered, its outer shell glowing red from the heat but otherwise undamaged. Okay, tough little thing, Naruto muttered. He reached into a pouch at his hip and pulled out what looked like a knife with a wrapped handle, a kunai, though Nejire didn't recognize the weapon. The device suddenly pulsed, and a wave of energy expanded outward. Naruto pushed Nejire behind him, crossing his arms to block the blast. The energy hit him and seemed to stick, dark tendrils wrapping around his body. What the? Naruto grunted, trying to pull free. Extracting sage energy, the device announced. Naruto's eyes widened as golden light began to seep from his body, flowing into the tendrils and toward the device. His face tightened in pain. Hey! Let go of him. Nejire launched herself forward, pouring more power into her next attack than she normally would in a populated area. The concentrated spiral hit the device with enough force to crack its outer shell. The machine wobbled, its extraction beam flickering. Naruto seized the opportunity, his body suddenly glowing with the golden energy that was being drained. It intensified until he was bathed in light, his eyes shifting to that strange cross-pupiled gold. That's enough. Naruto thrust his hands forward, and pure energy erupted from his palms. Not fire this time, but what looked like concentrated natural energy, hitting the device with such force that it shattered into pieces. The dark tendrils dissolved, and Naruto dropped to one knee, breathing hard. The golden glow receded, leaving him looking normal again, aside from his unusual whisker marks. What was that thing? Nejire asked, kneeling beside him. And seriously, what kind of quirk do you have? I've never seen anything like it. Naruto looked up at her, confusion clear in his eyes. I keep telling you, it's not a quirk. It's chakra. And sage mode. And, look, I'm really not from around here. I'd say not, came a new voice. They both looked up to see a mountain of a man standing over them, broad-shouldered, with an iconic smile and blonde hair styled in two distinct tufts. All Might! Nejire exclaimed. Indeed, the symbol of peace boomed. I was handling another incident downtown when I heard about this disturbance. Excellent work containing the villain, young Hado. His eyes turned to Naruto. And you, young man, appear to be at the center of something quite unusual. Naruto stood slowly, looking up, way up, at the massive hero. You could say that. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I think I'm not in my own world anymore. All Might's permanent smile didn't waver, but his eyes sharpened with interest. Is that so? Well, strange as that sounds, I've seen enough in my career not to dismiss it outright. He glanced at the remains of the device. Especially considering that thing seemed very interested in you specifically. Police cars and other hero response teams were arriving now. All Might placed a massive hand on Naruto's shoulder. I think we should continue this conversation somewhere more private. Perhaps UA would be appropriate. Principal Nizu will want to hear about this, and our facilities are equipped to handle unusual situations. Naruto nodded, still looking dazed. Sure. Not like I have anywhere else to go. Can I come too? Nejire asked, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Please. I have so many questions. All Might chuckled. Of course, young Hado. Your observations may be valuable. He turned to handle the arriving authorities, explaining the situation in broad strokes. Nejire leaned closer to Naruto. So, you're from another world? That's so cool. What's it like there? Do you have heroes too? Is everyone as strong as you? Can everyone make clones? How did you shoot fire from your mouth? Was that, Naruto couldn't help but laugh despite his situation. One question at a time. My head still spinning from whatever just happened. Sorry. I just get excited, Nejire said, not looking sorry at all. But don't worry. UA is the best hero school in Japan. If anyone can figure out what's going on, it's the teachers there. Japan? Naruto repeated. Never heard of it. We have the 5 great nations where I'm from, fire, wind, water, earth, and lightning. Nejire's eyes widened even further. Oh wow, this is going to be the most interesting thing ever. All Might returned, having settled matters with the police. They'll handle the cleanup and the villain. I've arranged transportation for us to UA. Let's go, shall we? As they walked toward the waiting car, Naruto looked up at the unfamiliar skyline, taller buildings than even in the Hidden Leaf, strange vehicles, and electronics everywhere. Whatever had happened with that space-time jutsu had sent him somewhere very, very far from home. Just what have I gotten myself into, he muttered. The beginning of an adventure. Nejire answered cheerfully, having heard him. And I, for one, can't wait to see what happens next. UA's campus was imposing, to say the least. Massive glass and steel buildings surrounded by high walls, security systems that made even Naruto, familiar with shinobi village defenses, raise an eyebrow. Impressive place you've got, he commented as they were escorted through the gates. Only the best for training the next generation of heroes, All Might said proudly. Our students face real dangers, as you saw with young Hado today. We must prepare them thoroughly. Naruto nodded. Reminds me of the academy back home, though we start a lot younger. Oh. How young? Nejire asked, still bouncing alongside them. We enter around 6, graduate around 12 usually. All Might frowned slightly. Children fighting at such a young age? Naruto shrugged. It's the shinobi way. Actually, that used to be considered late. During wartime, kids graduated even younger. He saw their expressions and added, things were getting better though. After the 4th Great Ninja War, there was finally peace between the nations. War? Nations? Shinobi? Nejire's questions tumbled out. Your world sounds so different. I'm getting that, Naruto said dryly as they entered the main building. They were led to a spacious office where a small animal in a suit sat behind a desk. Naruto blinked, wondering if this was some kind of summons he'd never encountered. "Welcome. I am Principal Nizu," the creature said cheerfully. "I may be a mouse, or a dog, or a bear, but I'm definitely the principal of UA. Nice to meet you," Naruto replied, trying not to stare. Nizu's intelligent eyes examined him thoroughly. "All Might has briefed me on the situation. Quite fascinating. A visitor from another dimension, if I understand correctly." "Seems that way," Naruto said. "1 minute I was fighting this masked guy who was messing with some forbidden jutsu, next thing I know, I'm crashing into your city. And then immediately helping to stop a villain," Nizu noted. "Most telling. Instincts reveal character, young man." Before Naruto could respond, the door opened again, admitting a scraggly-looking man with long black hair and what appeared to be a scarf made of some special material. "Ah, Aizawa," Nizu greeted. "Thank you for joining us." "You said it was urgent," the man, Aizawa, replied, his tired eyes fixing on Naruto. "This is him. The dimensional traveler." "So it would seem," Nizu confirmed. "Naruto Uzumaki, this is Shota Aizawa, one of our faculty members. His quirk allows him to temporarily negate the quirks of others. I thought his perspective would be valuable." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Negate quirks, huh? You want to test if what I do is the same as what you call quirks?" Aizawa's expression didn't change. "Precisely. Go for it," Naruto said with a shrug. Aizawa's hair lifted slightly as his eyes focused intently on Naruto, glowing red. Everyone waited. After a moment, Naruto lifted his hand and concentrated. A small ball of swirling energy, a miniature Rasengan, formed in his palm. "Interesting," Aizawa said, deactivating his quirk. "Whatever his abilities are, they don't register as a quirk to my erasure." "As I suspected," Nizu said. "Young Uzumaki, would you mind demonstrating some of your abilities in a more controlled setting? Our training grounds would be suitable." "Sure," Naruto agreed. "I'm still trying to figure out how much of my chakra and sage abilities carried over anyway. Can I watch?" Nejire asked eagerly. "Please." Nizu chuckled. "Your enthusiasm is admirable, Ms. Hado. Yes, you may observe. In fact, your insights might be valuable." They made their way to one of UA's many training grounds, an open field with various obstacles and targets. Naruto walked to the center while the others stood at a safe distance. "Just show us whatever you're comfortable with," All Might called. Naruto nodded and formed a hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 20 perfect copies of himself appeared in puffs of smoke, surrounding him in a circle. They moved independently, some waving at the observers, others stretching or looking around. "Fascinating," Nizu murmured. "Not illusions, but physical duplicates." "They're solid, yeah," Naruto confirmed. "Can fight independently, and when they dispel, I get all their memories and experiences." To demonstrate, he had one clone run to touch a distant target, then dispelled it. "The third target from the left has a loose bolt on the bottom right corner," he said without having been near it himself. "That's amazing!" Nejire exclaimed. "Much more versatile than any duplication quirk I've seen." Naruto dispelled the remaining clones and moved on to his next demonstration. "I can also manipulate chakra, life energy, in various ways." He formed a Rasengan in his hand, this time full-sized. The swirling blue sphere hummed with power. "This is concentrated, rotating energy. Hits like a drill when it connects." He slammed it into a concrete pillar, reducing it to rubble. All Might whistled. "Impressive destructive power." "That's just basic stuff," Naruto said. "I've also got nature transformation, like this." He demonstrated quick examples of wind, fire, earth, and water techniques. "And then there's Sage Mode," he continued, closing his eyes to gather natural energy. Orange pigmentation appeared around his eyes, and when he opened them, they'd changed to that golden cross-pupiled appearance. In this state, I can sense energy all around me, enhance my physical abilities, and access much more powerful techniques. He demonstrated by casually lifting a massive concrete block with one hand. It's what that device was trying to extract, Nejire realized. Naruto nodded, letting the sage chakra fade. Yeah, which is concerning. Someone in this world knows what I am and specifically wants this power. One more question, Aizawa said. That golden form we saw briefly during the incident, that's different from this sage mode? Yeah, that's. Naruto hesitated. It's complicated. It's called Six Paths Sage Mode. It's, well, in my world, it's basically God-tier power. I don't use it often. The UA faculty exchanged glances. Well, Nizu said finally. It seems we have quite the situation on our hands. A visitor from another dimension with abilities that, while similar to Quirk's in some ways, function on entirely different principles, and someone in our world is already targeting him. The question is, Aizawa added, what do we do with him now? I'd like to help figure out what's going on, Naruto said. Find out who sent that device and why they're after me. And. He paused, maybe find a way home eventually. Understandable, All Might nodded. But you'll need assistance navigating our world while you're here. And protection, Aizawa added. If someone's targeting you, they'll try again. Nizu tapped his chin thoughtfully. I propose we create a temporary position for you, Mr. Uzumaki. Something that keeps you close to UA while we investigate, but also gives you legitimate status in our world. What, like a student? Naruto asked skeptically. I'm a little old for that. No, more like a special consultant, Nizu clarified. We can say you're a Quirk specialist from overseas, here to work with our students who have complex abilities. That could work, All Might agreed. But he'll need guidance, someone to show him how our hero society functions. Ooh. I could help. Nejire volunteered immediately. I'm a third year, so I have more flexible hours for independent study anyway. Aizawa shook his head. He needs a professional hero, not a student. No offense, Hado. Nejire pouted but didn't argue. I believe I have the perfect candidate, Nizu said with a smile that somehow looked mischievous despite his animal features. Someone independent enough to handle unusual circumstances, combat-focused enough to appreciate Mr. Uzumaki's abilities, and in need of a mandatory mentorship assignment to fulfill her hero license requirements. Aizawa's eyebrows rose. You don't mean? Indeed I do, Nizu confirmed. The rabbit hero, Mirko. Rumi Usajiyama, known professionally as the rabbit hero, Mirko, was not having a good day. You want me to what? She demanded, red eyes narrowing as she leaned across Nizu's desk. Mentor our special consultant, Nizu repeated calmly. As you know, your hero license renewal requires completion of 40 mentorship hours this year, which you have thus far avoided. Mirko crossed her toned arms over her chest. I work alone. Everyone knows that. Yes, which is precisely why the Hero Commission has been increasingly insistent that you demonstrate some collaborative capabilities, Nizu replied. This arrangement satisfies their requirements while maintaining your independence. Mr. Uzumaki is not a sidekick, he's a consultant with his own unique abilities. Mirko's rabbit ears twitched in annoyance as she glanced at Naruto, who stood awkwardly to the side. And what exactly makes him so special? Perhaps a demonstration would be more effective than an explanation, All Might suggested. 20 minutes later, they stood in the same training ground where Naruto had shown his abilities earlier. Mirko watched with increasing interest as Naruto demonstrated his shadow clones, Rasengan, and a fraction of his Six Paths abilities. Okay, she admitted when he finished. That's pretty impressive. But I still don't see why you need me specifically. Because you're the best, Naruto said simply, causing everyone to look at him in surprise. He shrugged. What? I can sense your energy. You're crazy strong, and your fighting instincts are off the charts. I can tell just by looking at you. Mirko's ears perked up slightly at the direct compliment. At least you've got good taste, she said with a hint of a smile. But I don't do babysitting. Trust me, I don't need babysitting, Naruto replied. But I could use someone who knows this world to help me figure out who's after me and why. And you get your license renewal requirements fulfilled without having to train some wide-eyed kid, Aizawa added dryly. Mirko scowled, then sighed. Fine. But we do this my way. I'm not changing my patrol routes or my methods. Wouldn't dream of asking you to, Nizu assured her. And you, she pointed at Naruto, better keep up. I don't slow down for anyone. Naruto grinned. Wouldn't dream of asking you to. Something flickered in Mirko's eyes, perhaps the recognition of a kindred spirit or just appreciation for the confidence. Either way, she nodded once. We start tomorrow. Meet me at my agency at 6 a.m. Don't be late. She turned to leave, then paused. And get some less conspicuous clothes. That orange is practically a target. With that, she bounded away with impressive speed. Well, Nejire said brightly, I think that went well. Naruto watched Mirko's retreating form with interest. She's intense. You have no idea, Aizawa muttered. Now, for your accommodations, Nizu continued. We have visitor housing on campus that should suffice until we establish something more permanent. And I can help you get clothes and stuff. Nejire volunteered. You'll need to blend in better if you're supposed to be from this world. That would be most helpful, Ms. Hado, Nizu agreed. Perhaps you could assist with that this afternoon. Nejire beamed. Absolutely. Then it's settled, All Might said. Young Uzumaki will work with Mirko while we investigate the dimensional anomalies and the device that targeted him. Ms. Hado will assist with his cultural integration. I'll contact the support department about analyzing the remnants of that device, Aizawa added. Power Loader and Hatsum might be able to determine its origin. Excellent, Nizu nodded. Then let's proceed with getting Mr. Uzumaki settled. As the adults discussed logistics, Nejire bounced over to Naruto. This is going to be so fun. I have a million questions about your world, and I can tell you everything about ours. Naruto smiled, finding her enthusiasm infectious despite his concerns. Thanks, Nejire. I appreciate it. First stop, shopping. You need a whole new wardrobe if you're going to pass as someone from here. Plus, Mirko's right, orange isn't exactly subtle. Naruto touched his jacket defensively. Hey, orange is my signature color. We'll find a compromise, Nejire promised with a wink. Maybe just, less of it. Before Naruto could respond, an alarm blared through the campus. Security breach, Aizawa said sharply, already moving. East perimeter. That's where they were taking the remains of that device, All Might realized. Naruto was already running. I can sense it, same energy signature as before. They raced across campus to the support department building, where smoke was pouring from a first-floor window. Inside, they found destruction, workbenches overturned, equipment scattered, and a hole blown clean through one wall. A pink-haired girl with strange goggles was picking herself up from the floor, coughing. They took it. Those jerks took my beautiful new baby to study. Hatsum, are you all right? Aizawa asked, helping her up. I'm fine, but they stole the alien tech, she complained. I just started figuring out how it worked. What happened? All Might asked. 3 guys in weird masks, Hatsum explained. They came out of nowhere, like, literally. 1 second empty room, next second boom. They were there. They grabbed the device parts and took off. I tried to stop them, but they had some kind of stun weapon. Did they say anything? Naruto asked urgently. Hatsum nodded. The leader said something like, Master Threshold will be pleased, and, Phase 1 complete. Threshold, Nejire repeated. Is that a person? Or an organization, Aizawa suggested. Or a goal, All Might added grimly. A threshold between dimensions, perhaps. Naruto's eyes hardened. Whoever they are, they're connected to how I got here and why. And they're not done yet. Then neither are we, Nejire declared, standing beside him. I'll alert the other faculty and the authorities, Nizu said. This is no longer just about helping Mr. Uzumaki. If someone is manipulating dimensions, it could threaten our entire world. Naruto nodded, determination settling over him. I won't let that happen. Not to my world, and not to yours. Our first priority is getting you established and gathering information, Aizawa reminded him. You can't help if you're constantly dodging questions about who you are and where you came from. Right, Naruto agreed. So, shopping trip now, saving the multiverse later? Nejire giggled. Exactly. Fashion first, then heroics. Despite the situation, Naruto found himself smiling. This world was strange, but its people were good. Reminded him of home in that way, at least. The shopping district was bustling with afternoon crowds when Naruto and Nejire arrived. He'd reluctantly agreed to wear a UA sweatshirt over his clothes to be less conspicuous, though he refused to part with his headband. That's important to you, isn't it? Nejire asked, noticing how he adjusted it. Yeah. It's a symbol of my village and my status as a shinobi, Naruto explained. Every ninja from the Hidden Leaf wears one. We can say it's a family heirloom or something, Nejire suggested. People wear all kinds of accessories here, especially with all the different hero merchandise. Speaking of which, Naruto couldn't help but notice the abundance of hero imagery everywhere, on billboards, storefronts, even people's clothing. Heroes are really commercialized here, huh, he observed. They're celebrities, Nejire confirmed. The top heroes especially. It helps fund their agencies and builds public trust. Different from home, Naruto mused. Being Hokage, our village leader, is about service, not fame. You wanted to be this Hokage, didn't you? Nejire asked perceptively. Naruto looked surprised. How'd you know? The way you talk about it, she said with a smile. Your eyes get all determined and focused. Yeah, he admitted. Been my dream since I was a kid. I was getting close too. He trailed off, the reality of his situation hitting him again. Nejire touched his arm gently. Hey, we'll figure this out. If there's a way here, there's a way back. Naruto nodded, appreciating her optimism. You're right. No point moping about it. So, what kind of clothes do Quirk consultants wear in this world? The next hour was a whirlwind of stores, with Nejire enthusiastically pulling together an assortment of outfits that would help Naruto blend in. They settled on several pairs of jeans, t-shirts in various colors, including some orange, to Naruto's satisfaction, a couple of button-ups for more formal occasions, and a black jacket that Nejire insisted looked professional but not stuffy. You should probably have something nicer too, for meetings at UA, she suggested, holding up a blazer. Do I have to? Naruto complained. Formal clothes are so restrictive. Hard to fight in. You won't be fighting in meetings, Nejire laughed, then paused. Well, hopefully not. Though with the way things are going. They were examining shoes when Naruto suddenly stiffened, his senses flaring. What is it? Nejire asked immediately, recognizing his expression. That energy again, he murmured. Faint, but it's here. Somewhere in this mall. Nejire's demeanor shifted instantly from bubbly shopper to focused hero. Can you pinpoint it? Naruto closed his eyes, concentrating. Lower level. Moving fast. The subway entrance is down there, Nejire said. Come on. They abandoned their shopping bags and raced toward the escalators. Naruto leapt over the side, dropping to the lower level in a single bound, while Nejire used her quirk to spiral down alongside him. The lower level was less crowded, housing service corridors and access to the subway. Naruto led the way, following his senses to a maintenance door marked "Authorized Personnel Only." "It's beyond here," he said quietly. Nejire nodded. "I'll call for backup." "No time," Naruto replied, hearing movement beyond the door. "They might be gone by then." Before Nejire could protest, he had picked the lock with surprising speed and eased the door open. They slipped into a service tunnel, dimly lit by emergency lights. "You're good at that," Nejire whispered, nodding at the lock. "Shinobi training," Naruto explained with a half-smile. "Breaking and entering is kind of in the job description." They moved silently down the tunnel, which opened into a larger maintenance room filled with electrical equipment. 3 figures in black suits and strange masks were working on what appeared to be another dimensional device, larger than the one that had attacked Naruto earlier. "That doesn't look good," Nejire whispered. One of the masked figures looked up suddenly. "Intruders. Secure the anchor." "So much for stealth," Naruto muttered, immediately creating 5 shadow clones that charged forward. The masked figures produced strange weapons, not guns, but devices that fired pulses of that same dark energy Naruto had encountered before. One clone was hit and dissipated instantly. "Be careful," Naruto called to Nejire. "Those weapons disrupt chakra, might affect your quirk too." Nejire nodded, taking to the air with her quirk and firing spirals of energy from a distance. One hit a masked figure square in the chest, sending them flying into a wall. The other 2 split up, one continuing to work frantically on the device while the other engaged Naruto's clones. The fighter was skilled, moving with inhuman speed and strength. "They're enhanced somehow," Naruto observed, joining his clones in the fight. He blocked a punch that would have shattered concrete, feeling the impact all the way up his arm. "Definitely not normal humans. The device is activating," Nejire called in warning. The machine was indeed powering up, its rings spinning faster as dark energy began to coalesce in its center. The operative working on it stepped back in satisfaction. "Anchor point established. Master Threshold will be pleased." "Oh no, you don't." Naruto formed a Rasengan in each hand and charged, but the fighter intercepted him with that unnatural speed. Nejire dove toward the device instead, firing a concentrated blast at its control panel. The operative there pulled another weapon and fired at her. She twisted in midair, avoiding a direct hit, but the edge of the beam caught her leg. She cried out, her quirk faltering as she fell. "Nejire!" Naruto's eyes flashed gold with rage. In an instant, he was enveloped in the golden chakra of 6 paths mode, moving so fast he seemed to teleport. He appeared beside the fighter, a truth-seeking orb forming in his hand. He slammed it into the masked figure's chest, sending them crashing through equipment and into the far wall with devastating force. The operative by the device turned their weapon on him, but Naruto was already moving again. He appeared behind them, another Rasengan forming, this one massive and infused with 6 paths chakra. "Get away from that thing," he growled, the Rasengan held threateningly. The operative hesitated, then slowly raised their hands. "You cannot stop what's coming, sage. Master Threshold has seen your world and covets its power. This is merely the beginning." The device suddenly pulsed, and a small rift opened, not large enough for a person, but enough for the operative to toss something through before Naruto could react. "Message delivered," they said with satisfaction evident despite the mask. Naruto slammed the Rasengan into the device, obliterating it completely. The rift collapsed with a thunderous sound, and the operative slumped to the ground, apparently unconscious. The golden chakra fading, Naruto rushed to Nejire's side. "Are you okay?" She winced, holding her leg where the energy beam had struck. "I think so. It felt like all my energy was being drained from that spot." She tried to stand and grimaced. I can't activate my quirk. It's some kind of chakra-disrupting technology, Naruto said, helping her sit up. Probably temporary, but we should get you checked out. The sound of running footsteps echoed in the tunnel, backup finally arriving. Naruto glanced at the two unconscious operatives and the one buried in debris across the room. At least we got some of them this time, he said. Maybe now we'll get some answers. But when the heroes and police arrived and secured the area, they made a disturbing discovery. The operatives' masks couldn't be removed, they were fused to their faces. And when they regained consciousness, they couldn't speak, only making pained noises. It's like they're puppets, Naruto realized, examining them with his sensory abilities. There's something else controlling them. Their own chakra, or what you'd call life energy, it's been modified, twisted. Who could do something like that to people? Nejire asked, sitting on a stretcher as a medic examined her leg. Someone with a serious god complex, Naruto replied grimly. This threshold person, I'm guessing. All Might arrived shortly after, along with Aizawa and several other pro-heroes. They cordoned off the area and began a thorough investigation. You two did well to intercept this, All Might told Naruto and Nejire. Though next time, perhaps wait for backup. Sorry, Nejire said, not looking particularly apologetic. But we couldn't let them finish whatever they were doing. They called it an anchor point, Naruto added. I think they're trying to create stable connections between dimensions. For what purpose? Aizawa wondered. The operative said something about Threshold coveting the power of my world, Naruto recalled. Which makes sense if they're after Six Paths chakra. It's basically the power of creation itself. All Might's eyes widened. The power of creation? And this Threshold individual knows about it? Seems that way, Naruto confirmed. They sent something through the rift before I destroyed it, a message, they said. Coordinating with someone on the other side, Aizawa concluded. This is bigger than we thought. Nejire suddenly gasped. My leg. The feeling's coming back. She wiggled her foot, wincing. Pins and needles, but I can feel it. The medic nodded. Whatever hit you, it seems to be wearing off. Rest it for tonight, and you should be fine by tomorrow. See? Told you, Naruto said with a relieved smile. Young Hado, you should return to the dorms and rest, All Might instructed. Young Uzumaki, I believe you still have an appointment tomorrow morning with Mirko. You should prepare. Naruto nodded, though his eyes lingered on the destroyed device. What about all this? We'll handle it, Aizawa assured him. The investigation will continue while you work with Mirko. Having you out in the field might draw more of Threshold's operatives into the open anyway. Using me as bait? Naruto asked with a slight smirk. I can work with that. I'm coming too. Nejire declared from her stretcher. You are not, the medic corrected firmly. You're resting that leg. But, the medic is right, All Might said gently. Take tomorrow to recover. You can rejoin Mr. Uzumaki afterward. Nejire pouted but didn't argue further. As they left the scene, Naruto helped Nejire walk despite her protests that she was fine. Their shopping bags had been retrieved by helpful store staff, and they carried them back to UA. Thanks for jumping in like that, Naruto said as they walked. You didn't hesitate, even though you barely know me. Nejire smiled. That's what heroes do, silly. Besides, I couldn't let you have all the fun. Your definition of fun is concerning, Naruto laughed. Says the guy who literally glowed gold and teleported around the room, she countered. They reached the point where they needed to separate, Nejire to the dorms, Naruto to the visitor housing. Good luck with Mirko tomorrow, Nejire said. She's amazing, but intense. I've handled intense before, Naruto assured her. And hey, thanks again. For everything today. What are friends for? Nejire replied with a bright smile. And we are friends now, whether you like it or not. Naruto blinked, then grinned. Yeah, I guess we are. As Nejire limped off toward the dorms, Naruto headed to his temporary quarters, mulling over the day's events. He'd been in this world less than 24 hours and already had an enemy targeting him, a hero-mentor assignment, and somehow, a new friend. Whatever this threshold person wanted, whatever game they were playing across dimensions, Naruto was determined to stop them. Not just to find his way home, but to protect the people who'd already shown him such kindness in this strange new world. Mirko's agency was exactly what Naruto expected, minimalist, focused on function over comfort, and located in a neighborhood known for high crime rates where she could be in the action quickly. The building itself was modest, just 3 stories with her logo, a stylized rabbit, displayed prominently at the entrance. Naruto arrived at 5:55 a.m., dressed in his new clothes, jeans, a black t-shirt with a subtle orange spiral design, Nejire's compromise, and a black jacket. His ninja headband remained in place, though he'd moved it from his forehead to around his neck like some of his friends used to wear theirs. He knocked on the glass door and was surprised when it opened immediately. Mirko stood there in her hero costume, a white leotard with purple accents that showed off her muscular figure, rabbit ear headpiece in place. "You're early," she observed, sounding almost approving. "Come in." The interior was sparse, a small reception area that looked rarely used, a training room visible through one doorway, and stairs leading up to what Naruto assumed were offices. "Not much for decoration, huh?" he commented. "Don't see the point," Mirko replied, leading him to the training room. "I'm hardly ever here except to train and file reports." The training room was impressive, high ceilings, reinforced walls covered in dents and scuffs, and various equipment designed to withstand extreme force. "So," Mirko said, turning to face him, arms crossed. "Nizu says you're some kind of dimensional traveler with god-tier powers." Her tone made it clear she wasn't entirely sold on this explanation. "That's the simplified version," Naruto agreed. "Though I'd say my powers are a bit more complicated than what you call quirks." "Show me," she challenged. "Here. Now." "You think villains give you time to warm up," she countered. "Show me what you've got, interdimensional boy." Naruto raised an eyebrow at the nickname but didn't comment. Instead, he formed his familiar cross-shaped hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 clones appeared, surrounding Mirko. She didn't even flinch, just studied them with interest. "Solid duplicates," she noted. "Better than ectoplasms, and that's saying something." "What else?" One clone stepped forward, palm extended as another helped form a Rasengan. The spiraling sphere of energy hummed in the air between them. Mirko's eyes widened slightly. Concentrated rotational energy. Impressive control. The clones dispelled, and Naruto absorbed the Rasengan back into his palm. "That's just the basics. I've got various elemental techniques, sensory abilities, and higher forms like Sage Mode and 6 Paths." "The golden glowy thing Nejire wouldn't shut up about when she called me last night?" Mirko asked. "She called you?" "Insisted I needed to know what happened," Mirko said with a roll of her eyes. "That girl's enthusiasm is exhausting." "She's nice," Naruto defended. "And yeah, the glowy thing is 6 Paths Sage Mode. It's powerful. Too powerful to use casually." Mirko studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Good. Understanding your limits is important. Too many rookies go full power right away, burn out when it matters." "I learned that lesson the hard way," Naruto admitted. "Nearly killed myself using too much chakra as a kid." "Chakra, that's what you call your energy, right?" When Naruto nodded, she continued. "And this threshold character wants it. Specifically the 6 Paths chakra, I think. It's basically the power of a god in my world." Mirko's ears twitched. "And you just happen to have it?" "Long story involving a war, ancient prophecies, and a lot of people trying to kill me, Naruto said with a shrug. The usual. To his surprise, Mirko laughed, a sharp, genuine sound. You know what? I think I'm going to like you, Uzumaki. You don't bullshit. Life's too short, Naruto agreed with a grin. Exactly. Mirko stretched her powerful legs. Alright, here's how this is going to work. You're with me on patrol today. We've got reports of increased villain activity in the warehouse district, probably nothing related to your dimension hopping, but good practice for you to see how heroes operate here. Sounds good to me, Naruto said. Do I need, like, a costume or something? No time to get you one approved, Mirko said. But take this. She tossed him what looked like a small earpiece. Communication device. And this, she added a small badge with the Hero Commission logo, temporary consultant ID. Makes things legal. Naruto attached the badge to his jacket. So, what's the plan? Standard patrol route? For starters. I like to mix it up, keep the small-timers guessing. She headed toward the door. Hope you can keep up. I don't slow down. Naruto grinned. That won't be a problem. As it turned out, keeping up with Mirko was indeed no problem for Naruto. They traveled across rooftops, Mirko's powerful legs launching her in tremendous bounds while Naruto matched her pace effortlessly. They covered ground quickly, patrolling a section of the city where industrial areas met residential neighborhoods. You move well, Mirko commented as they paused on a water tower overlooking the warehouse district. Not many can match my pace. Shinobi training, Naruto explained. We learn to move fast and quiet from a young age. These shinobi, they're like your world's version of heroes? Naruto considered this. Not exactly. We're more like, military. We take missions, protect our villages, fight when necessary. Some shinobi are heroes, but some are just soldiers. Some become villains. Sounds complicated, Mirko observed. It can be, Naruto agreed. But things were changing when I left. After the war, the 5 great nations were finally at peace. We were building something better. Something flickered across Mirko's face, understanding, perhaps. And now you're stuck here, wondering what's happening back home without you. Naruto nodded, surprised by her perception. Yeah. Well, standing around won't solve anything, she said briskly, but not unkindly. Come on, I want to check that warehouse complex. Been reports of suspicious deliveries. They dropped down to street level, Mirko leading the way with confident strides. Naruto walked beside her, noting how people reacted to her presence, some with awe, others nervously, but all recognizing her instantly. You're pretty famous, huh, he observed. Number 5 hero, she replied without false modesty. People know me because I get results. And the rabbit theme? That related to your quirk? Mirko nodded. Rabbit. Super strength in my legs, enhanced hearing, improved jumping ability. Simple but effective. The best powers often are, Naruto agreed. Some of my strongest techniques are just refined versions of the basics. They reached the warehouse complex, a sprawling collection of buildings, some active with workers loading trucks, others seemingly abandoned. Mirko's ears twitched as she listened. 3 buildings down, she said quietly. Hear that? Movement in what should be an empty warehouse. Naruto extended his senses. Yeah. 6 people inside. And something else, some kind of energy signature I don't recognize. Drugs, maybe, Mirko suggested. Or illegal support items. Let's find out. They moved silently around the perimeter, finding a side entrance with a broken lock. Mirko gestured for Naruto to follow her lead, then slipped inside with surprising stealth for someone so direct in other ways. The warehouse was dimly lit, with crates stacked in uneven rows creating a maze-like interior. They could hear voices now, men arguing about a shipment and payment terms. Standard procedure is to observe first, identify if they're actually committing a crime, then intervene, Mirko whispered. But if they start to leave or destroy evidence, we move, Naruto finished. Got it. They crept closer, using the crates for cover until they could see the group, 5 rough-looking men surrounding a 6th who stood beside a crate they just opened. Inside glowed what appeared to be weapons, but unlike any Naruto had seen before, they pulsed with an eerie light. "These ain't what we ordered," one man growled. "They look like toys." "The boss said these are next gen," the seller replied smoothly. "Quirk amplification technology. Point and shoot, your power gets channeled through and boosted tenfold." "And if you ain't got a combat quirk?" another asked skeptically. "Then it uses the base energy stored inside," the seller explained. "Everyone's got energy, even if they can't access it consciously. These babies tap into that." Naruto stiffened. "They're talking about chakra," he whispered to Mirko. "Or what you'd call life energy. Those weapons, they're similar to what those masked operatives had yesterday." Mirko's eyes narrowed. "So this is connected to your threshold after all." She tapped her earpiece. "Calling in suspicious weapons deal, possibly connected to yesterday's UA incident. Requesting backup at Warehouse 14, East Bay Complex." "Copy that, Mirko," came the response. "Units en route, ETA 8 minutes. "We don't have 8 minutes, Naruto said urgently. "Those weapons, if they're what I think they are, they're dangerous. And there's something else." He focused his senses more intently on the crate. "That energy signature, it's similar to what I felt during the dimensional incidents, just, muted somehow." "So we move now," Mirko decided. "You take left, I'll take right. Disable, don't kill." "Wasn't planning to," Naruto assured her. Mirko grinned fiercely, then launched herself from their hiding spot with explosive power. "Hero Mirko on sight," she announced loudly. "Hands where I can see them." The men reacted instantly, reaching for conventional weapons. Naruto was already moving, shadow clones appearing to flank the group as he charged straight for the cellar and the crate of mysterious weapons. One thug fired a handgun at Mirko, who dodged with incredible speed, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Her leg connected with his chest, sending him flying into a stack of crates. "Too slow," she taunted, already spinning to deliver a devastating kick to another attacker. Naruto's clones engaged the remaining thugs while he focused on the seller, who had grabbed one of the strange weapons from the crate. "Don't!" Naruto warned. Too late, the man activated the device, which glowed with that same dark energy Naruto had encountered before. A beam shot out, not at Naruto but at one of his clones, which instantly dissipated. "Interesting," the seller said, an unsettling smile spreading across his face. "You have unusually high energy reserves. Master Threshold will be pleased to know you're here, Sage." Naruto's eyes widened. "You're one of them." The seller's smile grew as his appearance seemed to ripple, revealing a mask similar to the operatives from the day before. "Just an observer. Testing the market for our technology." He fired again, this time at the real Naruto, who dodged with blinding speed. Naruto formed a Rasengan and charged, but the masked seller leapt backward with inhuman agility, landing atop a stack of crates. "Another time, perhaps," he said, then pointed the weapon at the ceiling and fired. The beam hit a support beam, which disintegrated instantly. The ceiling began to collapse as the seller disappeared among the falling debris. "The weapons!" Naruto shouted to Mirko, who had efficiently disabled 3 of the thugs and was working on the 4th. She looked up, saw the collapsing ceiling, and made a split-second decision. With a powerful leap, she kicked the last standing thug into a wall, then bounded toward the crate. Naruto had the same idea, racing to secure the dangerous technology. They reached it simultaneously as chunks of the ceiling crashed down around them. "We need cover," Mirko yelled. Naruto didn't hesitate. Golden chakra flared around him as he entered Six Paths mode, truth-seeking orbs materializing and expanding into a protective dome over them, the crate, and the unconscious thugs. Debris hammered against the shield, but it held firm. Dust filled the air outside their protective bubble. Mirko stared at the black material of the truth-seeking orbs. What is this stuff? Malleable matter that negates almost any attack, Naruto explained, the golden chakra illuminating the space inside their shelter. Part of the Six Paths power. Handy, Mirko commented, inspecting one of the weapons from the crate. These look like they were made with tech from your world and ours combined. That's what worries me, Naruto said. Threshold isn't just trying to steal power from my dimension, they're weaponizing it. The rumbling finally stopped. Naruto cautiously extended his senses beyond their shelter. I think it's clear, he said. But that seller, the masked operative, he's gone. Mirko nodded. We got what matters. The weapons and these idiots for questioning. Naruto dispersed the truth-seeking orbs, letting the shield dissolve. The warehouse was in ruins, dust still settling as sunlight streamed through the collapsed roof. Nice trick with the golden mode, Mirko said, gesturing to Naruto's still glowing form. That's the power they're after. Naruto let the chakra fade, returning to normal. Yeah. The Six Paths Sage mode. It's complicated to explain, but it's basically the power that created my world, passed down through generations. And now in you, Mirko noted. Lucky them, finding someone who can actually use it. Lucky me, finding people willing to help protect it, Naruto countered. Mirko's ears twitched, and she almost smiled. Don't get sappy on me, Uzumaki. We've still got work to do. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. You should probably power down all the way before they arrive, Mirko suggested. That golden form is a bit too conspicuous for your foreign consultant cover. Naruto nodded, making sure all traces of the Six Paths chakra were suppressed. Good point. As they waited for backup to arrive, securing the thugs and the crate of weapons, Naruto couldn't help but notice how efficiently Mirko handled the situation, directing officers, giving clear statements, ensuring the weapons were properly contained for transport to UA for analysis. You're good at this, he commented when she finally returned to his side. Been doing it a while, she replied with a shrug. Solo work teaches you to handle all aspects of the job. Still, you adapted quickly to having a partner today, Naruto observed. Mirko's eyes narrowed slightly. Don't push it, Uzumaki. One decent mission doesn't make us partners. Whatever you say, Mirko, Naruto replied with a grin. She rolled her eyes but didn't correct him further. Come on. We need to report back to UA about these weapons and the masked seller. If Threshold is distributing this tech to criminals, we've got bigger problems than just your interdimensional travel issues. As they left the warehouse, Naruto couldn't help but feel that things were escalating faster than anyone had anticipated. Threshold wasn't just after him, they were making moves that affected this entire world. And somehow, he was caught right in the middle of it all. The UA support department was in a frenzy when Naruto and Mirko arrived with the confiscated weapons. Power Loader, the excavator-headed support teacher, examined them with grave concern while his star pupil, the enthusiastic pink-haired Hatsum, practically vibrated with excitement. These are definitely connected to the device from yesterday, Power Loader confirmed. Similar energy signature, though modified for weapons applications. Can you tell where they came from? Naruto asked. Not precisely, but the components are a mix of cutting-edge tech from our world and something else. Something I've never seen before. Technology from my world, Naruto suggested. Or at least, influenced by it. Hatsum peered at one of the weapons through her magnifying goggles. The energy conduits don't match anything in our databases. It's like they're designed to channel something that shouldn't exist here. So cool. Not cool, Hatsum, Power Loader corrected. Potentially very dangerous. Nizu, who had joined them along with All Might and Aizawa, examined the reports. Most concerning is that these weapons were being sold to common criminals. Threshold appears to be testing their technology in real-world scenarios. Using our streets as their laboratory, Mirko growled, ears flattening in anger. The question is, what's their endgame? All Might wondered. Why distribute these weapons? Is it just for data collection, or something more? The masked seller recognized me, Naruto said. Called me, Sage. They're tracking me, but they're also doing something else. Building infrastructure, Aizawa suggested. These anchor points, the weapons distribution, they're establishing a presence in our world while searching for you specifically. Mr. Uzumaki, Nizu said thoughtfully, you mentioned that the Six Paths power is essentially the power of creation in your world. What exactly could someone do with it, if they managed to harness it? Naruto frowned. In theory. Almost anything. Create, destroy, reshape reality. But it's not something you can just take and use. It's connected to me, to my chakra network. Even if they extracted it somehow, they'd need to understand how to control it. Unless they've been studying it long enough to have figured that out, Aizawa pointed out. A sobering silence fell over the room. We need more information, All Might decided. About Threshold, their operations, their goals. And we need to prepare for the possibility that they might attack directly, Mirko added. If they want Naruto's power badly enough, they might stop with these indirect approaches. I can defend myself, Naruto assured them. Not the point, Mirko said sharply. We don't know what they're capable of. They've already shown they can manipulate dimensions. Who knows what other tricks they have? Before anyone could respond, the door burst open and Nejire rushed in, her leg apparently fully recovered. Sorry I'm late. I was in class when I heard you guys were back. Her eyes found Naruto. You're okay. I heard there was a building collapse. We're fine, Naruto assured her with a smile. Mirko and I handled it. Mostly me, Mirko muttered, though there was less bite to it than Naruto expected. Nejire bounced over to examine the weapons. Ooh, are these what they were selling? They look weird. Don't touch, Power Loader warned. We still don't know all they can do. I wouldn't. Nejire protested, though her hands had indeed been reaching for one. She turned to Naruto instead. So how was your first patrol? Was Mirko super intense? Did you get to show off your powers? Did people recognize you? Breathe, Hado, Aizawa instructed dryly. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. The patrol was fine until the building collapsed. And yes, Mirko's intense, but in a good way. Mirko raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. The most important thing, Nizu interjected, is that we've confirmed Threshold is actively operating in our world and distributing technology that utilizes dimensional energy. This presents a threat not just to Mr. Uzumaki, but potentially to our entire society. We should increase patrols, All Might suggested. Focus on areas where these weapons might be distributed. And I should keep working with Mirko, Naruto added. I'm the best at sensing this type of energy, and Threshold is clearly tracking me anyway. Using yourself as bait again? Nejire asked, concerned. More like using my abilities effectively, Naruto replied. I can sense these dimensional anomalies better than anyone here. And if Threshold does make a move directly, I'm the best equipped to counter whatever they throw at us. Mirko nodded reluctantly. He's got a point. And having him with me worked well today. Nizu considered this. Very well. Mr. Uzumaki will continue working with Mirko. Ms. Hado, since you've already been involved and have shown aptitude for detecting these anomalies as well, you may join them when your class schedule permits. Nejire beamed. Yes. Thank you, Principal Nizu. Don't thank me yet, Nizu cautioned. This is potentially very dangerous. I know, Nejire said, her expression turning serious. But I want to help. And I've worked with Mirko before on my internship. Mirko sighed dramatically. Great. Now I have 2 tagalongs. You love us, Nejire said confidently. I tolerate you, Mirko corrected, but there was the ghost of a smile on her face. As the meeting concluded and they prepared to leave, Naruto found himself walking between Mirko and Nejire, the fierce pro-hero and the bubbly student. An odd team, perhaps, but one that was already proving effective. So, what's next? He asked Mirko. Food, she replied definitively. Then we plan our next move. These threshold people want to play? Fine. Let's show them what happens when they mess with real heroes. An interdimensional shinobi, Nejire added cheerfully. Naruto smiled, feeling something he hadn't expected in this strange new world, a sense of belonging, of purpose. Threshold had made a serious mistake targeting this place and these people. They were about to find out just how serious. Chapter 2, Adaptation, again. Mirko shouted, bouncing on the balls of her feet. And this time, don't hold back. The training room in Mirko's agency looked like a war zone. Cracked floor tiles, dented walls, and equipment pushed to the edges to make space for their sparring match. They'd been at it for 2 hours already, and Naruto still hadn't landed a solid hit on her. I'm not holding back, Naruto protested, wiping sweat from his forehead. You're just really fast. Bullshit, Mirko countered, her rabbit ears twitching with irritation. I've seen what you can do with those clone things and that spinning energy ball. You're pulling punches. She wasn't wrong. After 3 days of working together, Naruto still worried about accidentally hurting her. 6 Paths power wasn't exactly easy to dial down. Fine, he conceded, forming his signature hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 10 perfect copies of Naruto appeared, surrounding Mirko in a circle. Her eyes lit up with excitement rather than concern. That's more like it, she grinned, dropping into a fighting stance. Come at me, Whiskers. The clones attacked in coordinated pairs, but Mirko moved like lightning. She flipped over the first 2, rabbit kicked another into oblivion, then spun into a devastating roundhouse that took out 2 more. Each clone disappeared in a puff of smoke upon impact. Too slow, she taunted, barely breaking a sweat. The remaining clones pressed harder, one forming a Rasengan while others tried to box Mirko in. She saw the strategy and laughed, launching herself toward the ceiling with those powerful legs. As she descended, she aimed a drop kick at the clone with the Rasengan. But this time, Naruto was ready. The clone with the Rasengan disappeared, a feint, and the real Naruto emerged from behind, a smaller Rasengan already formed. He thrust it toward Mirko, stopping just short of contact as she twisted midair to face him. For a split second, they froze in that position, Naruto's Rasengan humming inches from Mirko's side, her foot suspended just above his head. Gotcha, Naruto said with a grin. Mirko's surprised expression shifted to a genuine smile. Not bad, Whiskers. She flipped away, landing gracefully across the room. About time you took this seriously. I've been taking it seriously, Naruto protested, dismissing his remaining clones. I just didn't want to wreck your training room. Mirko gestured to the already damaged space. Wouldn't be the first time. Equipment can be replaced. Bad habits can't be unlearned so easily. Naruto grabbed a towel from a nearby bench and wiped his face. What bad habits? Holding back when you shouldn't, Mirko said bluntly. It's disrespectful to your opponent and dangerous for you. In a real fight, that hesitation gets you killed. I wasn't, you were, she cut him off, approaching to poke him in the chest with one finger. I get it. You've got this godlike power that could level a city block. You're afraid of hurting people. But you need to trust your control and trust your opponent's ability to handle themselves. Naruto considered this. She had a point. Back in his world, he'd trained with other Jinchuriki and powerful shinobi who could match him. Here, he wasn't sure where the boundaries were. "You're right," he admitted. "Sorry. Don't apologize. Just do better." Mirko grabbed her own towel, wiping sweat from her neck. "Besides, I'm tougher than I look." "You look plenty tough," Naruto said with a laugh. Mirko smirked. "Damn right I do." She checked the time. "That's enough for today. We've got patrol in an hour." "Same route as yesterday?" "No. We're switching it up. Those threshold creeps have been quiet since the warehouse, which means they're planning something bigger. I want to check the docks today, lots of shipments coming in that could be hiding their tech." Naruto nodded. "Sounds good. I'll grab a quick shower, then." As he headed for the locker room, Mirko called after him, "Hey, Uzumaki." He turned. "Yeah. Good session today. You're not half bad when you actually try." Coming from Mirko, that was high praise. Naruto grinned. "Right back at you, rabbit hero." Her ears twitched with what might have been amusement as she turned away. Under the hot spray of the shower, Naruto reflected on the past 3 days. Working with Mirko had been intense but exhilarating. She pushed him hard, never accepting less than his best. It reminded him of training with Jiraiya, though Mirko was considerably more direct with her feedback. They'd fallen into a routine, morning training, patrol during the day, debriefing at UA in the evening. So far, they hadn't encountered any more threshold operatives, though UA had detected 2 more dimensional anomalies that disappeared before they could investigate. The relative quiet was making everyone nervous. After showering and changing into his patrol clothes, the black jacket with orange accents that had become his unofficial uniform here, Naruto found Mirko reviewing reports in her small office. "Any updates?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe. She shook her head. "Nothing solid. The Hero Commission is getting antsy, though. They've called a meeting for tomorrow about the dimensional threat situation. They want me there." "Naturally. You're the expert, after all." She set down the tablet she'd been reading from. "Just don't let them push you around. Those bureaucrats love to talk tough, but they haven't been in the field in years, if ever." "I've dealt with councils before," Naruto assured her. "The elders in my village weren't exactly fans of the demon container kid." Mirko's eyes sharpened with interest. "Demon container? You've dropped hints about that before, but never explained." Naruto hesitated. He hadn't shared the full story with anyone here yet, not even Nejire, who'd asked countless questions about his world. "It's complicated," he said finally. "In my world, there are these creatures called tailed beasts, essentially, massive concentrations of chakra with consciousness. The 9 tails, Kurama, was sealed inside me when I was a baby." "They put a demon in a baby?" Mirko's ears flattened against her head. "My father didn't have a choice," Naruto explained. "The 9 tails was attacking our village. He sacrificed himself to seal it in me, hoping I'd eventually learn to control its power." He smiled sadly. "Took a while, but Kurama and I eventually became partners. Friends, even. And now?" Naruto touched his stomach where the seal used to be most visible. "Now I'm not sure. The seal came with me when I was transported here, but I haven't been able to communicate with Kurama since I arrived. It's like, there's a wall between us. That's why you've been holding back," Mirko realized. "You're not sure what powers came with you and what didn't." "Partly," Naruto admitted. "The 6 paths stuff works fine, and my basic jutsu. But the 9 tails connection feels muffled." Mirko considered this. "Have you tried forcing it? Really pushing to break through?" "Not yet. I wasn't sure what would happen in this world. The 9 tails chakra is volatile." "Well, if you decide to try, let me know," Mirko said, standing up. "I'd rather you didn't level my agency accidentally." Naruto laughed. "Deal." They headed out for patrol, taking to the rooftops as had become their habit. The day was clear and cool, perfect for covering ground quickly. As they traveled, Mirko pointed out different hero agencies and explained territorial boundaries, information Naruto absorbed eagerly. So each hero has their own jurisdiction, he asked as they paused atop a water tower. Not officially, Mirko explained. But most of us have areas we focus on. Gang Orca handles the harbor district, Kamui Woods works downtown where there are lots of structures to use his quirk with, and I usually patrol the eastern industrial zone. Makes sense. Play to your strengths. Exactly. Though some heroes, All Might especially, go wherever they're needed most. Speaking of All Might, Naruto said, what's his deal? He seems different from other heroes here. Mirko snorted. That's an understatement. All Might is the symbol of peace, the top hero who changed the entire game. Crime rates dropped just because he existed. Her tone held respect, though reluctantly given. He's on another level. I sensed something strange about his energy, Naruto admitted. It's powerful, but fluctuating somehow. Mirko gave him a sharp look. Keep that observation to yourself. All Might's got his secrets, and they stay secret for a reason. Naruto nodded, understanding. Every village had its closely guarded information. They continued toward the docks, moving more cautiously as they approached. The harbor was busy, cranes loading containers, workers moving cargo, ships coming and going. Perfect cover for illegal operations. What exactly are we looking for? Naruto asked as they observed from a warehouse roof. Anything suspicious, Mirko replied. Unmarked containers, unusual security, that weird energy you can sense. Naruto closed his eyes, extending his sensory abilities across the harbor. Normal human chakra signatures bustled about, nothing unusual there. Equipment hummed with standard electrical energy. The ships, his eyes snapped open. There. Third vessel from the left. Something's off about it. Mirko followed his gaze to a medium-sized cargo ship with Chinese markings. What do you sense? It's subtle, but there's that same dimensional energy we've encountered before. Muted, contained, but definitely there. Good enough for me, Mirko said, already moving. Let's check it out. They made their way toward the ship, keeping to the shadows of containers and equipment. As they got closer, Naruto's unease grew. The energy's stronger, he murmured. And there's something else, multiple signatures that feel wrong. Like those masked operatives. Mirko's ears twitched, picking up sounds Naruto couldn't hear. 6 people on deck. Armed. Not standard dock workers. They paused behind a stack of containers, observing. The ship appeared normal from the outside, but the crew moved with military precision, and as Mirko had noted, they carried weapons, subtly, but visible to trained eyes. We need to get on board, Mirko decided. But quietly. If they're threshold operatives, I want to see what they're transporting before they know we're onto them. I can help with that, Naruto said, forming a hand sign. Transformation Jutsu. In a puff of smoke, he transformed into a perfect copy of a dockworker they'd seen earlier, complete with uniform and hard hat. Mirko blinked in surprise. That's actually impressive. Solid transformation, not just an illusion. Completely physical, Naruto confirmed in a different voice. But I can only do myself. For you. He created a shadow clone, which transformed into another dockworker. My clone can carry you in a crate. You're small enough to fit, right? Mirko's eye twitched at that small comment, but she nodded. Efficient plan. There's an empty container right there we can use. Minutes later, Naruto and his clone, both disguised as workers, carried a crate toward the ship. Inside, Mirko waited silently, listening through a small air hole. They approached the gangplank, where a guard stopped them. ID, the man demanded. Right here, Naruto pulled out a forged worker's badge, another trick from his shinobi days. Just bringing this last crate before departure. Manifest says it goes to cargo hold B. The guard checked the badge, then the manifest Naruto handed him. After a moment, he nodded. Proceed. Be quick about it. Yes, sir, Naruto replied deferentially. Once on board, they navigated through the ship's corridors, following signs to the cargo hold. They passed several crew members, none of whom gave them a second glance. The disguises were working perfectly. When they reached a quiet stretch of corridor, Naruto whispered to the crate, almost there. Cargo hold is one level down. Hurry up, came Mirko's muffled reply. It stinks in here. They descended a stairwell to the lower level, where the corridor widened into a large cargo area. Stacks of containers and crates filled the space, but what caught Naruto's attention immediately was the large device in the center of the room. It resembled the dimensional technology they'd encountered before, but much larger, a central pillar surrounded by rotating rings, pulsing with that familiar dark energy. Several people in lab coats worked around it, monitoring readings on tablets. Jackpot, Naruto murmured, setting down the crate behind a stack of containers where they wouldn't be easily spotted. He tapped the crate twice, their signal for Mirko to wait, then dispersed his clone and moved closer to observe, keeping his transformation active. The scientists were speaking a language he didn't recognize, Chinese, probably, but their actions were clear enough. They were calibrating the device, preparing it for something. One scientist approached the central pillar and inserted what looked like a crystal, causing the machine to pulse more intensely. The dimensional energy Naruto sensed spiked dramatically. Activation sequence initiated, the scientist announced in accented Japanese. Dimensional anchor will be operational in 15 minutes. Another dimensional anchor, like the one they'd stopped in the mall basement. But this one was much larger, likely more powerful. Naruto had seen enough. He needed to alert Mirko. He turned to head back to her hiding spot when a voice rang out behind him. You! Worker! What are you doing here? Naruto turned to see a security officer approaching, hand on his weapon. Just delivering a crate, he replied, maintaining his disguise. They told me to bring it to cargo hold B. This is hold A, the man said suspiciously. And all deliveries were completed an hour ago. Oh, my mistake, Naruto laughed nervously, backing away. I'm new. Still learning the ship layout. The officer's eyes narrowed. Let me see your ID again. Before Naruto could respond, the ship suddenly rocked violently, throwing everyone off balance. Alarms began blaring throughout the vessel. What was that? Someone shouted. Perimeter breach, came a response over the officer's radio. We have a hero on board. Rabbit Hero Mirko engaging security on the aft deck. So much for the stealth approach. Mirko must have been discovered or decided to create a diversion. Either way, their cover was blown. You! The officer drew his weapon, aiming at Naruto. Don't move. Naruto dropped the transformation in a puff of smoke, revealing his true appearance. Sorry, not really a dock worker. The officer's eyes widened in shock, but before he could fire, Naruto had already moved. A quick strike to the wrist disarmed him, and a follow-up palm to the chest sent him flying back into a stack of crates. The scientists at the device panicked, some running for the exits while others frantically worked to accelerate whatever process they'd started. Stop that machine now. Naruto commanded, creating shadow clones to block the exits. The sage, one scientist exclaimed. Master Threshold warned us you might interfere. Well, he was right about that, Naruto replied, forming a Rasengan. Last chance to shut it down before I do it for you. Instead of complying, the scientist pressed a button on his tablet. The device's pulsing intensified, and a small rift began to form above it, similar to the one Naruto had fallen through when he first arrived, but more stable, controlled. Too late, the scientist said with a triumphant smile. The anchor is establishing connection. Soon Master Threshold will have direct access to this world. Naruto didn't waste time arguing. He charged forward, Rasengan aimed at the device's control panel. Two security officers moved to intercept him, but his shadow clones engaged them, clearing his path. Just as he neared the device, the ship rocked again, more violently this time. The sound of tearing metal echoed through the hull, and water began spraying from a rupture in the outer wall. The ship's been breached, someone shouted. The situation had just gone from bad to worse. Naruto had to destroy the device and get everyone off the ship before it sank. He pushed forward, dodging a desperate scientist who tried to block him, and slammed his Rasengan into the device's control panel. The impact shattered the controls, but the machine continued operating, the rift now pulsing erratically. The crystal the scientist had inserted glowed brighter, seemingly powering the process independently. It won't stop. Naruto realized. The anchor point is self-sustaining now. Water was pouring in faster as the ship listed to one side. Equipment slid across the floor, and people struggled to maintain their footing. Naruto made a quick decision. He formed a larger, more powerful Rasengan, this one infused with wind chakra. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. He hurled the spiraling disk of chakra at the central pillar of the device. When it hit, the reaction was immediate and catastrophic. The device exploded in a blast of dimensional energy, the rift above it collapsing violently. The backlash sent everyone flying. Naruto crashed into the far wall, momentarily stunned. When he recovered, the situation looked dire. Water now covered the floor, rising rapidly. The scientists and security personnel were either unconscious or struggling to escape. Creating multiple shadow clones, Naruto began grabbing everyone in the hold, friend or foe didn't matter in a sinking ship. Get them to the upper deck, he ordered his clones. As the clones evacuated the injured, Naruto fought his way through the flooding corridor toward the sounds of combat above. Mirko was still fighting, and from the crashes and shouts, she was outnumbered. He burst onto the deck to find chaos. Mirko was indeed engaging multiple opponents, at least 8 masked figures similar to the ones they'd encountered before. Despite the odds, she was holding her own, powerful kicks sending opponents flying. About time you showed up, she called, spotting him. Started the party without you. Yeah, I noticed, Naruto replied, immediately joining the fray. Ship's going down. We need to evacuate now. Little busy. Mirko grunted, delivering a devastating roundhouse to an operative's head. Naruto created more shadow clones to even the odds, and together, they began pushing the masked figures back. But these weren't ordinary opponents, they moved with that same enhanced speed and strength as previous threshold operatives. They're stronger than before, Naruto observed, blocking a punch that would have shattered concrete. Tell me about it, Mirko agreed, flipping away from an energy weapon blast. And they've got new toys. The ship listed further, water now washing across the deck. In the distance, Naruto could hear harbor patrol sirens approaching, but they wouldn't arrive in time. We need to end this now, he shouted. Mirko nodded, understanding his intent immediately. They'd developed surprisingly good teamwork over their days together. She launched herself high into the air, drawing the operative's attention upward. As they tracked her, Naruto entered Sage mode, orange pigmentation appearing around his eyes. With enhanced strength and speed, he swept through their ranks, disabling 3 operatives in rapid succession. Mirko descended like a missile, her Luna Fall technique driving another 2 into the deck hard enough to crack the metal. The remaining operatives, seeing the tide turn, activated devices on their wrists. Dark energy surrounded them, and they vanished, teleported away. Cowards, Mirko spat. No time to chase them, Naruto reminded her. Ship's going under. Indeed, the vessel was now tilting dramatically, the bow beginning to sink beneath the waves. Harbor patrol boats were approaching, but still too far to help immediately. My clones got the crew to the lifeboats, Naruto reported. But we need to make sure no one's left below. Mirko nodded. I'll check the bridge. You take the lower decks one more time. They split up, racing against the rapidly sinking ship. Naruto descended back into the flooding corridors, checking rooms and compartments. Most were empty, the crew having evacuated, but in one cabin, he found an injured scientist trapped by fallen equipment. Help, the man called weakly in accented Japanese. I cannot move. Naruto waded through the waist-deep water to reach him. Using Sage-enhanced strength, he lifted the heavy cabinet pinning the scientist's leg. Can you walk? The scientist tried to stand but collapsed with a cry of pain. Broken, he gasped, pointing to his leg. I've got you, Naruto assured him, creating a shadow clone to help carry the man. As they maneuvered him through the flooding corridor, the scientist spoke urgently. You must listen, he said. I am not like the others. I was forced to work for Threshold. The device, it wasn't just an anchor. It was designed to bind our dimensions permanently. What do you mean, bind? Naruto asked, navigating around a collapsed beam. Once fully operational, anyone or anything that crossed between worlds would be trapped in their destination dimension forever. No return possible. Naruto nearly stumbled. You're saying? If Threshold succeeds with another anchor, the scientist confirmed grimly, you will never be able to return to your world. The implications hit Naruto like a physical blow, but there was no time to process them. The ship lurched again, water now pouring in faster as they reached a stairwell. We need to move, the clone urged. They half-carried, half-dragged the scientist up the stairs, emerging onto the tilting deck where Mirko waited with the last few crew members. Lifeboats are gone, she reported. Harbor patrol's still 2 minutes out. We can't wait that long, Naruto said, noting how rapidly the ship was sinking. The deck was now at a 45-degree angle, making it hard to stand. Then we jump, Mirko decided. I can make it to shore from here. Not with injured people, Naruto countered, looking at the scientist and other wounded crew members. He made a quick decision, summoning more shadow clones. Each clone takes one person. I'll carry 2. Mirko, you good on your own? Please, she scoffed. This is nothing. The clones each secured an injured crew member as the ship groaned ominously beneath them. Now! Naruto ordered. They leapt from the sinking vessel just as the deck slipped beneath the waves. Mirko's powerful legs carried her in a graceful arc toward the distant shore, while Naruto and his clones, each carrying a passenger, used chakra control to run across the water's surface. Harbor patrol boats intercepted them halfway, taking aboard the injured. Naruto dispelled his clones once everyone was safely on the boats, joining Mirko on the lead vessel. Nice water-walking trick, she commented, wringing water from her ears. Handy skill. Basic chakra control where I'm from, Naruto replied, though he was breathing harder than usual. Supporting that many clones while carrying injured people had taxed even his massive reserves. As they watched the last of the ship disappear beneath the waves, Mirko fixed him with a keen look. You're thinking about something. What did you find out? Naruto hesitated, then related what the scientist had told him about the dimensional anchor and its purpose. Mirko's ears flattened against her head. So if they succeed, you're stuck here permanently. Seems that way, Naruto confirmed quietly. Well, Mirko said after a moment, that just means we can't let them succeed. Her simple determination brought a small smile to Naruto's face. Yeah. Exactly. But as they headed back to shore, the scientist's words echoed in his mind. Trapped forever in this dimension. Never seeing his friends again. Never becoming Hokage. The stakes had just gotten much higher. Absolutely unacceptable. The Hero Commission representative slammed his hand on the conference table. An entire cargo ship sunk, millions in damages, and international tensions with China escalated. All because you two decided to conduct an unauthorized raid. Naruto and Mirko sat across from the commission panel in UA's main conference room. Beside them, Nizu maintained a calm demeanor despite the representative's outburst. All Might and Aizawa stood by the wall, observing silently. With all due respect, Commissioner Hinata, Mirko replied coolly, if we'd waited for authorization, Threshold would have activated their device and created a permanent dimensional anchor in the middle of Tokyo Bay. That's speculation, another commissioner countered. What we have are concrete damages and diplomatic incidents. The threat was real, Naruto insisted. I sensed the dimensional energy myself. And the scientist we rescued confirmed Threshold's plans. Ah yes, this mysterious scientist, Commissioner Hinata said skeptically. Who conveniently disappeared from the hospital before he could be properly interviewed. That had been a frustrating development. The injured scientist had been taken to a secure medical facility, but somehow vanished during the night despite guards posted at his door. Another sign of Threshold's reach and resources. The evidence remains, Nizu interjected smoothly. Our support department's analysis of the debris recovered from the ship confirms it was indeed similar technology to the previous dimensional devices we've encountered. Which brings us to another concern, a third commissioner spoke up, an elderly woman with sharp eyes. Mr. Uzumaki's presence itself. If these Threshold people are targeting him specifically, perhaps the simplest solution would be to help him return to his own dimension, removing the incentive for these attacks. Naruto tensed. That might not be possible anymore. According to the scientist, if Threshold succeeds in establishing even one permanent anchor, travel between dimensions becomes one way only. I'd be trapped here, and they'd still be after my power. Then perhaps we should consider containing that power, Commissioner Hinata suggested. If it's as dangerous as you claim, having it freely walking our streets seems imprudent. Mirko's ears shot up in anger. Are you suggesting we lock him up? After he's repeatedly risked himself to protect this city? I'm suggesting we consider all options, Hinata replied coldly. Including whether harboring an interdimensional fugitive serves the public interest. I'm not a fugitive, Naruto said firmly. I was brought here against my will, and I've been helping you fight the people responsible. People who, by the way, threaten your world as much as they threaten me. All Might stepped forward. If I may, commissioners. Young Uzumaki has demonstrated nothing but heroic intent since his arrival. His abilities, while formidable, have been used only to protect. Treating him as a threat rather than an ally would be a grave mistake. The commissioners exchanged glances. There was clearly disagreement among them. We will take your assessment under advisement, All Might, Commissioner Hinata said finally. For now, Mr. Uzumaki remains under UA and Hero Commission supervision. But be warned, his gaze hardened as he looked at Naruto and Mirko, any further incidents like yesterday's will have severe consequences. We cannot afford international incidents while dealing with this dimensional crisis. Understood, Nizu replied before either Naruto or Mirko could respond. We appreciate the Commission's patience in this unusual situation. After a few more pointed warnings and procedural details, the meeting concluded. The commissioners filed out, leaving the UA representatives and Mirko with Naruto. Well, that was about what I expected, Mirko muttered once the door closed. Bureaucrats more worried about paperwork than people. They have legitimate concerns, Aizawa pointed out. International relations are complicated, and we did sink a foreign vessel in Japanese waters. A vessel carrying technology designed to permanently damage the fabric of reality, Naruto countered. But sure, let's worry about diplomatic forms. All Might placed a massive hand on Naruto's shoulder. Try not to take it personally, young Uzumaki. The Commission's job is to worry about broader implications. Our job remains finding and stopping Threshold before they can complete their plans. And we have new information to help with that, Nizu added. Power Loader's analysis of the ship debris revealed a unique radiation signature that we can potentially track. If Threshold attempts to build another anchor device, we might be able to detect it earlier. That's something, at least, Naruto acknowledged. In the meantime, Nizu continued, I believe Ms. Hado has been asking when you'll return to assist with her special studies project? Naruto couldn't help smiling at the mention of Nejire. Over the past week, she'd been helping him understand hero society better, framing it as a cultural exchange project for her studies. In reality, she was just insatiably curious about his world, and he found her questions and enthusiasm a welcome distraction from the weight of his situation. I promised to meet her this afternoon, he confirmed. After Mirko's training session. Mirko rolled her eyes. Go now. You've earned a break after yesterday. Besides, my paperwork for the ship incident will take hours. You sure? Naruto asked, surprised by her uncharacteristic leniency. Don't make me say it twice, Whiskers. Go play tour guide with Bubble Girl. Her name is Nejire, Naruto corrected automatically, then caught the slight twitch of amusement in Mirko's ears. She was teasing him. Thanks, he said simply. I'll see you tomorrow for patrol. Mirko nodded. 0700 sharp. Don't be late. As Naruto left the conference room, Aizawa fell into step beside him. A word of caution, Uzumaki. About? Nejire Hado is one of our most promising students, but she's still a student. Don't let your situation distract her from her hero studies. Naruto raised an eyebrow. We're just friends. She's helping me understand this world better. I'm aware, Aizawa replied dryly. I'm also aware of how she looks at you, and how you're starting to look at her. Naruto felt heat rise to his cheeks. It's not like that. Perhaps not yet, Aizawa conceded. Just remember, she has a bright future ahead as a pro hero. And your situation here remains complicated. With that cryptic warning, Aizawa turned down a different corridor, leaving Naruto alone with his thoughts. Was there something developing between him and Nejire? She was certainly attractive, energetic, and kind. They'd spent hours together discussing their respective worlds, and he'd found himself looking forward to those conversations more than he expected. But Aizawa was right, his situation was complicated. He might still find a way home, or he might be trapped here forever. Either way, getting emotionally attached probably wasn't the smartest move. Then again, when had he ever done the smart thing? And this is called takoyaki. Nejire exclaimed, presenting a paper tray of steaming ball-shaped snacks. They're filled with octopus. You have to try them. They sat in a small park near UA, enjoying the afternoon sunshine. Nejire had insisted on introducing Naruto to Japanese street food, and they'd spent the last hour sampling various treats from nearby vendors. Naruto examined the takoyaki skeptically. Octopus, huh? We have something similar in the land of water, but usually with fish instead. Try it. Nejire urged, her blue hair catching the sunlight as she leaned forward eagerly. He popped one into his mouth and immediately regretted it. Hot. Hot, he gasped, fanning his mouth. Nejire giggled. You're supposed to wait for them to cool down a bit, silly. Now you tell me, Naruto complained, but he was smiling despite his burned tongue. Once he could actually taste it, the takoyaki was pretty good, savory and rich with an interesting texture. So what did the commission decide? Nejire asked, turning more serious. Mirko texted me that you were in a meeting with them this morning. Basically, they're worried I'm more trouble than I'm worth, Naruto summarized. Some of them wanted to contain me, whatever that means. Nejire's eyes widened. They can't do that. You're helping us. Nizu and All Might stood up for me, he assured her. For now, nothing changes. I keep working with Mirko, trying to track down Threshold. Good, Nejire nodded firmly. Because we need you. Not just for fighting Threshold, but... She hesitated, then continued more softly, you bring a different perspective. Your way of looking at heroism, at power, it's different from what we're taught. It's valuable. Naruto looked at her curiously. How so? Nejire set down her food, suddenly thoughtful. In our hero courses, we learn about laws, regulations, public perception, rankings. All important stuff, but sometimes it feels like the core of being a hero gets lost in all that. You just act. You see someone in trouble, you help them. No hesitation, no worrying about jurisdiction or whether it'll look good for your agency. That's just being a decent person, Naruto said. Exactly. Nejire's eyes lit up. But in our hero society, it's gotten so structured that sometimes heroes forget that basic truth. You remind people what heroism really means at its heart. Naruto felt warmth spread through his chest that had nothing to do with the spicy takoyaki. Thanks. That means a lot. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, finishing their food. Around them, people went about their day, students laughing, couples holding hands, a mother pushing a stroller. Normal life continuing despite dimensional threats and power-hungry villains. What do you miss most? Nejire asked suddenly. About your world. Naruto considered the question. My friends, he said finally. Sakura, Shikamaru, Kakashi-sensei, Sai, Captain Yamato, all of them. We went through so much together. Tell me about them. Nejire requested, leaning closer. So he did. He told her about Sakura's monstrous strength and medical brilliance, Shikamaru's lazy genius, Kakashi's perverted reading habits and hidden wisdom. He described Sai's journey from emotionless root agent to genuine friend, Captain Yamato's exasperated patience. He told her about Sasuke too, their rivalry, Sasuke's descent into darkness, and their final, devastating battle that cost them each an arm but restored their brotherhood. Nejire listened with rapt attention, asking questions that showed she was truly engaged with his stories. When he described the Fourth Great Ninja War, her eyes grew wide at the scale of the conflict and the sacrifices made. And after all that, she said softly when he finished, you got pulled away just when peace was finally happening. Yeah. Naruto looked up at the clouds drifting overhead. But at least I know I left them in a better place than when I started. Sasuke's back, the villages are united, and the cycle of hatred was broken, at least for a while. You really loved your world, Nejire observed. I still do, Naruto corrected. Just because I'm here doesn't mean I've given up on going back someday. Nejire's expression flickered with something he couldn't quite identify. But what if you can't? What if what that scientist said is true, and once threshold creates a stable anchor, there's no going back? It was the question he'd been avoiding since yesterday. The possibility that he might never see the hidden leaf again, never fulfill his dream of becoming Hokage, never reconnect with his precious people. Then I'll make a life here, he said simply. Find my ninja way in this world. You make it sound so easy, Nejire marveled. It's not easy, Naruto admitted. But I've faced worse odds before. Whatever happens, I'll adapt. That's what shinobi do. Nejire studied him for a moment, then smiled. Well, if you do end up staying, there are worse places to be stuck. And you've already got friends here. I do, don't I? Naruto agreed, returning her smile. Speaking of which, aren't you supposed to be teaching me about hero society? So far all I've learned is that you have really good street food. Nejire laughed, the momentary heaviness dispelled. Right. Today I wanted to tell you about hero rankings and the sports festival. It's super important for understanding how heroes build their careers here. As she launched into an enthusiastic explanation of the annual UA Sports Festival and its importance for students' futures, Naruto found himself watching the animated expressions on her face, the way her hands moved when she was excited, how her eyes sparkled with passion for her chosen path. Aizawa's warning echoed in his mind, but he pushed it aside. Right now, in this moment, learning about this new world from someone who saw it with such wonder and enthusiasm, it felt right, regardless of what complications tomorrow might bring. The next week passed in a blur of activity. Naruto continued training and patrolling with Mirko, their teamwork improving daily. They stopped several conventional villain attacks and investigated 2 more dimensional anomalies, though neither proved to be threshold activity, just residual effects from previous incidents. In his free time, Naruto worked with UA's support department to develop equipment that might help track or counter thresholds technology. Hatsum, the enthusiastic pink-haired inventor, was particularly interested in studying how his chakra interacted with their world's physics. Just stand there and channel chakra into this, she'd instruct, pointing to strange devices that inevitably exploded or melted. Naruto quickly learned to create shadow clones for these experiments. When not being used as a guinea pig by the support department, he continued his cultural exchange sessions with Nejire. These expanded to include her friends Mirko and Tamaki occasionally, giving Naruto a better understanding of how UA's hero course worked and how students viewed their future careers. Mirko, with his perpetual smile and optimistic outlook, reminded Naruto a bit of himself in younger days. Tamaki, shy and self-deprecating despite his impressive abilities, brought back memories of Hinata. Thinking of Hinata and his other friends from the Hidden Leaf always brought a pang of homesickness, but it was growing less acute as he built connections in this new world. The most surprising development was his evolving relationship with Mirko. What had started as a reluctant mentorship assignment was shifting into something like genuine respect, maybe even friendship, though neither would admit it aloud. "Your form's improved," she commented during a particularly intense training session. "Still sloppy on your left side counterattacks, but better." From Mirko, this was effusive praise. "Had a good teacher," Naruto replied with a grin. Mirko rolled her eyes, but her ears gave away her pleasure at the compliment, twitching forward briefly before she controlled them. Later that day, as they patrolled the shopping district, Naruto brought up something that had been on his mind. "Can I ask you something personal?" Mirko gave him a suspicious sidelong glance. "Depends how personal, Whiskers. Why do you work alone? Most heroes here seem to have agencies with sidekicks, support staff. But you keep everyone at a distance." Her ears flattened slightly. "That's definitely personal." "You don't have to answer," Naruto backtracked. "Just curious." They continued in silence for several blocks, and Naruto assumed she wasn't going to respond. Then, abruptly, she spoke. "When I was starting out, I had a partner. Another rookie hero. We trained together, fought together, had this whole plan to open an agency together once we made the rankings." Naruto stayed quiet, sensing the weight behind her words. "We responded to a hostage situation. Villain with an explosion quirk. My partner, she was better with people than me. Better at talking villains down. I wanted to go in hard, take the guy out before he could detonate. She convinced me to let her try negotiating first." Mirko's voice remained even, but her ears were now pressed flat against her head. "The villain blew himself up along with 3 hostages. My partner included." "I'm sorry," Naruto said quietly. "Don't be. It was a long time ago." Mirko's tone was matter-of-fact, but her body language told a different story. "I learned an important lesson that day. When you rely on others, you adopt their weaknesses along with their strengths. Solo, the only weaknesses I have to worry about are my own. But you also miss out on how others can complement your strengths," Naruto pointed out. "Cover your blind spots." "Maybe," Mirko conceded. "But this works for me. 5 years in the top 10 heroes, never lost a civilian on my watch since." "Until you got stuck with me," Naruto said, attempting to lighten the mood. "It worked." Mirko's ears perked up slightly as she smirked. "Yeah, well. Not like I had a choice there, did I? Nizu can be persuasive when he wants to be." "Admit it, I'm growing on you," Naruto teased. "Like a fungus," she retorted, but there was no bite to it. Their patrol continued without incident, but something had shifted between them. A barrier lowered, if only slightly. That evening, as they finished their daily report at Mirko's agency, an alert came through on their Hero Network devices, a possible dimensional anomaly detected in Muzutafu's Central Park. That's the third one this week, Naruto noted with concern. They're getting more frequent. And this one's stronger than the others, according to these readings, Mirko added, studying her device. We should check it out. I'll alert UA, Naruto said, already sending a message through the secure channel Nizu had provided him. They headed out immediately, racing across rooftops toward the park. As they approached, Naruto could sense the now familiar dimensional energy, stronger than any previous anomaly except the one he'd arrived through. Something's different about this one, he called to Mirko as they ran. It's fluctuating. Unstable. They arrived at the park to find it already evacuated, police establishing a perimeter around a shimmering distortion in the air near the central fountain. The rift pulsed with dark energy, expanding and contracting erratically. Stay back. Naruto warned the officers. This isn't stable. UA representatives arrived moments later, All Might, Aizawa, and to Naruto's surprise, Nejire. We were training nearby when the alert came in, Nejire explained, rushing over. Is that another dimensional portal? Seems like it, Naruto confirmed. But it's behaving differently. Almost like it's struggling to form properly. All Might approached cautiously. Young Uzumaki, can you determine if this is Threshold's doing? Naruto entered Sage mode to enhance his sensory abilities, studying the fluctuating rift. The energy signature is similar, but messier. Less controlled. Like they're forcing it open from the other side but can't quite stabilize it. What happens if it destabilizes completely? Aizawa asked. Nothing good, Naruto grimaced. Best case, it collapses harmlessly. Worst case, dimensional backlash that could level several city blocks. Then we need to close it safely, All Might decided. Suggestions? Naruto considered the problem. In my world, spacetime ninjutsu can be countered by applying an opposing chakra pattern. If I could get close enough. Too dangerous, Mirko interrupted. That thing's unstable. You said it yourself. I have the best chance of successfully closing it, Naruto argued. The Six Paths chakra is basically dimensional energy itself. He's right, Nejire supported, though she looked worried. If anyone can do it safely, it's Naruto. Mirko's ears flattened with disapproval, but she didn't argue further. Fine. But I'm backing you up. Naruto nodded. I'll need to get close and use Six Paths Sage mode. Everyone else should maintain distance, at least 50 meters. As the others retreated, establishing a wider perimeter, Mirko stayed stubbornly at Naruto's side. I said everyone, he told her. And I said I'm backing you up, she replied firmly. Don't waste time arguing, Whiskers. That thing isn't getting any more stable. She was right. The rift was pulsing more violently now, dark energy crackling around its edges. They needed to act quickly. Stay behind me, at least, Naruto conceded. And if I tell you to run, you run. No arguments. Just do your thing, Mirko said, dropping into a ready stance. Naruto closed his eyes, accessing the golden chakra of Six Paths Sage mode. His body began to glow, the familiar warmth spreading through him as he opened eyes now ringed with crossed pupils. Carefully, he approached the rift, extending his senses to understand its structure. It was indeed a forced opening, crudely torn through the dimensional barrier rather than carefully constructed like the anchor devices. Someone was desperate to create a connection. I'm going to try stabilizing it first, then closing it gradually, he called back to Mirko. If anything comes through, be ready. Always am, she replied tensely. Naruto extended his hands toward the rift, Six Paths chakra flowing from his palms in golden streams that wrapped around the unstable tear. He could feel the chaotic energies fighting his control, but slowly, the violent fluctuations began to calm under his influence. It's working, he said through gritted teeth. The effort was considerable, even with his massive reserves. Now to close it, without warning, the rift suddenly expanded, dark energy surging outward in a shockwave that threw Naruto backwards. He caught himself mid-air, flipping to land on his feet, but the rift was now pulsing with renewed intensity. "Something's forcing it open from the other side," he shouted. The center of the rift darkened, and a figure began to emerge, humanoid but difficult to make out clearly, surrounded by that same dark energy. As it pushed through, the dimensional tear widened dangerously, energy crackling in all directions. "Naruto!" Mirko called in warning, already moving to intercept whatever was coming through. The figure finally broke through completely, landing heavily on the ground before the rift. It was a man, tall and thin, wearing what looked like a modified version of the masks the Threshold operatives used. But unlike them, this mask covered only half his face, revealing pale skin and a cold smile on the visible side. "The sage himself," the man said, his voice carrying an otherworldly echo. "Master Threshold will be pleased." Naruto maintained his six paths mode, truth-seeking orbs materializing behind him. "You must be one of Threshold's lieutenants. Want to tell me what your boss is planning?" The half-masked man laughed. "Planning? He's already doing. This," he gestured to the rift behind him, still crackling with unstable energy, "is merely a test run. The next breach will be permanent." "Not if we stop you first," Mirko growled, moving to Naruto's side. "Ah, the rabbit hero," the man observed with amusement. "My master said you'd likely be with him. A shame. You might have made a valuable operative with proper modification." "Pass," Mirko snapped. "I don't do the whole creepy mask thing." The man's visible eye narrowed. "Joke while you can. Soon Master Threshold will command both dimensions, and resistance will be unnecessary." "Enough talk," Naruto said, his patience wearing thin. "That rift is dangerously unstable. Either help me close it, or get out of the way." "Close it?" The man seemed genuinely amused. "Why would I do that when it's performing exactly as intended?" With sudden clarity, Naruto realized what was happening. "It's a distraction," he breathed. "There's another breach happening somewhere else." The man clapped slowly. "Very good, sage. My master said you were perceptive. While you're all here focusing on this minor tear, the main event is already underway. The primary anchor will be operational within the hour." Mirko immediately activated her communicator. "All teams. This is a diversion. There's another dimensional breach happening elsewhere." "Too late," the man said confidently. "By the time you locate it, the anchor will be established. The dimensions will be bound permanently, and Master Threshold will begin the harvest." "The harvest?" Naruto questioned, though he feared he already knew the answer. "Your world's chakra, of course," the man confirmed. "Starting with the most potent source, the sage's power." He pointed directly at Naruto. "That would be you." Naruto had heard enough. He formed a Rasengan, infused it with six paths chakra, and charged. The half-masked man didn't attempt to dodge or block. Instead, he smiled wider as Naruto's attack approached. At the last possible instant, Naruto's instincts screamed a warning. He diverted his attack, the Rasengan grazing the man's shoulder rather than hitting center mass. Where it touched, the man's form rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. A projection, Naruto realized, leaping back. "You're not really here." "In body?" "No," the man agreed, the tear in his shoulder reforming smoothly. "This projection allows communication across the weakened dimensional barrier. Crude, but effective. My master didn't want you to miss the grand finale." All Might and the others had rushed forward when they saw Naruto attack, and now stood at the perimeter, awaiting direction. "UA is coordinating with all hero agencies to locate the second breach," Aizawa reported. "Nothing yet." The half-masked man chuckled. You won't find it through conventional means. It's too well hidden. I might, Naruto realized. In Six Paths mode, his sensory abilities were vastly enhanced. If he focused completely on searching for that unique dimensional energy. Mirko, he said urgently. I need to meditate, expand my senses to find the real breach. Can you handle this guy? A projection? Easy, she affirmed, dropping into a fighting stance. Do what you need to do. Naruto nodded gratefully, then turned to the others. All Might, Aizawa, this rift still needs to be stabilized. I can't do both at once. Leave it to us, All Might assured him. Young Hado's quirk might be useful for containing the energy discharge. I'll help. Nejire confirmed, already moving closer to study the fluctuating rift. Naruto took a position behind them, sitting cross-legged on the ground while maintaining Six Paths mode. He closed his eyes, extending his senses outward in an expanding circle, searching for that distinctive dimensional energy signature. Mirko, meanwhile, engaged the projection, testing its limitations. Though not physically present, the half-masked man could apparently interact with the environment to some degree, deflecting her initial attacks with sweeps of dark energy. Just buying time, she realized, dodging an energy blast. You're stalling us. Perceptive rabbit, the man acknowledged. But effective nonetheless. Behind them, All Might, Aizawa and Nejire worked to contain the unstable rift. Nejire's wave motion quirk proved surprisingly effective at neutralizing the energy discharges, while All Might physically reinforced the perimeter. Naruto tuned it all out, pushing his senses further and further across the city. He could feel thousands of energy signatures, the citizens of Muzutafu going about their daily lives, unaware of the dimensional crisis unfolding. He pushed past them, searching for that specific pattern. There. In the industrial district, beneath an abandoned factory, a massive surge of dimensional energy, growing stronger by the minute. And surrounding it, dozens of those modified energy signatures like the masked operatives. Naruto's eyes snapped open. Found it, he announced, leaping to his feet. Old Tereyev factory in the industrial zone. Underground facility. It's big, much bigger than anything we've seen before. How long before it's active? All Might asked urgently. Minutes, not hours, Naruto estimated. We need to move now. The projection of the half-masked man smiled coldly. As I said, too late. Even if you leave immediately, the anchor will be operational before you arrive. And once established, it cannot be undone. Watch me, Naruto growled. He turned to Mirko. I can get there faster on my own. Six Paths mode gives me enhanced speed. No way, Mirko protested. We stick together. There's no time to argue. If that anchor activates, then we make sure it doesn't, she interrupted. You carry me. With your speed and my power, we hit them hard and fast. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. She was right, they worked better as a team. All Might, can you and the others handle containing this rift? Leave it to us, the symbol of peace confirmed. Stop that anchor, young Uzumaki. I'm coming too. Nejire insisted, stepping forward. My quirk worked against the energy discharge, it might help against the anchor. Aizawa started to protest, but Naruto cut him off. She's right. We need every advantage. Without further discussion, Naruto created a shadow clone to help monitor the park rift, then scooped up Mirko and Nejire, one in each arm. Enhanced by Six Paths mode, their weight was negligible. Hold on tight, he warned. Then they were moving, faster than most eyes could track. Buildings blurred past as Naruto leapt across the city, covering ground at incredible speed. Mirko and Nejire held on grimly, the wind whipping past them. There. Naruto called, spotting the abandoned factory in the distance. Even from here, he could sense the dimensional energy pulsing beneath it. As they approached, the scale of the operation became clear. The factory was surrounded by unmarked vehicles, and masked operatives patrolled the perimeter. This wasn't a small test like previous incidents, this was Threshold's main offensive. Too many to fight through conventionally, Mirko assessed as Naruto set them down on a nearby rooftop. We need a direct approach to the anchor. Underground, Naruto confirmed, his senses mapping the facility. 2 levels down. Heavy security, at least 30 operatives, and something else. A massive concentration of energy in the center. That has to be the anchor device. How do we get in? Nejire asked, surveying the fortified entrance. Naruto smiled grimly. We make our own door. With that, he formed a massive Rasengan, infused it with 6 paths chakra, and leapt from the rooftop toward the center of the factory compound. Mirko and Nejire followed immediately, recognizing the direct approach for what it was, their only chance to reach the anchor in time. Sage Art, massive Rasengan. Naruto shouted, driving the spiraling sphere into the ground at the center of the compound. The impact was devastating, cratering the earth and collapsing the floor to reveal the underground facility beneath. Alarms blared instantly as they dropped through the opening, landing amid startled operatives and equipment. Mirko wasted no time, powerful kicks sending masked figures flying in all directions. Nejire took to the air, her wave motion quirk blasting away those who tried to regroup. This way! Naruto called, sensing the anchor's location. He charged forward, truth-seeking orbs forming a path through enemies and obstacles alike. They fought their way deeper, Threshold's forces growing more numerous and better armed as they progressed. Energy weapons fired from all directions, forcing Naruto to create a shield with his truth-seeking orbs to cover their advance. Almost there, he shouted as they reached a massive blast door. The anchor's just beyond this. Mirko didn't hesitate. With a powerful bound, she launched herself at the door, her Luna Fall technique hitting with enough force to dent the reinforced metal. Nejire followed up immediately, her quirk focusing on the weakened point until the metal began to groan and buckle. Naruto added his own power, a concentrated Rasengan drilling into the center of the door. Under their combined assault, even the reinforced barrier couldn't hold. It tore open with a screech of metal, revealing the chamber beyond. The sight that greeted them was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A massive device dominated the center of the room, far larger than any they'd encountered before. Multiple rings rotated around a central pillar that pulsed with dark energy. Above it, a rift was already forming, larger and more stable than the diversion in the park. Scientists and operatives worked frantically at control panels surrounding the device, while at the center stood a figure that could only be Threshold himself. Tall and imposing, he wore robes reminiscent of traditional Japanese style but with elements that seemed alien, geometric patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. His face was obscured by a full mask unlike the operatives, this one ornate and featuring a design that resembled a dimensional rift itself. Ah, the sage arrives, Threshold's voice resonated with power and authority. Right on schedule. Shut it down, Naruto demanded, stepping forward with Mirko and Nejire flanking him. Whatever you're planning, it ends now. Threshold laughed, the sound echoing strangely as if coming from multiple sources at once. Ends? No, Sage. It begins. The binding of dimensions, the harvesting of chakra, the remaking of both worlds under my guidance. Not going to happen, Mirko growled, her stance ready to launch an attack. Your confidence is misplaced, Threshold replied calmly. The process is already underway. In approximately 3 minutes, the anchor will be permanent. The dimensional barrier will be irrevocably altered. And you, he pointed directly at Naruto, will be the power source that fuels my ascension. We've got 3 minutes to kick your ass, then, Naruto countered, creating shadow clones that spread out through the chamber. I like those odds. Threshold made a dismissive gesture, and his operatives moved to intercept the clones. Such primitive thinking. Force versus force. This isn't about physical confrontation, sage. This is about evolution, the next step for both our worlds. Save the villain monologue, Mirko snapped, already moving. She launched into the air, aiming a devastating kick at Threshold's head. To their shock, her leg passed through him as if he weren't there. Another projection? Nejire gasped. Not quite, Threshold replied, reforming where Mirko's kick had dispersed his form. I exist between dimensions now, neither fully here nor there. A necessity for the work to come. Naruto wasn't interested in Threshold's explanations. While the villain spoke, he was analyzing the anchor device, looking for vulnerabilities. The central pillar seemed to be the key. It contained what appeared to be a crystal similar to the one from the ship, but much larger. Nejire, he called. Target the control panels. Disrupt the energy flow. She nodded, immediately directing her quirk at the scientific equipment surrounding the device. Panels exploded in showers of sparks, causing operatives to scatter. 2 minutes, Threshold announced calmly, seemingly unconcerned by their efforts. Once the binding is complete, your power will be mine to command, Sage. I don't think so, Naruto replied. He closed his eyes briefly, drawing deeper on the 6 paths chakra. When he opened them, his entire form glowed more intensely, truth-seeking orbs expanding and multiplying. With a gesture, he sent the orbs flying toward the device's supporting structures, attempting to destabilize it from multiple points simultaneously. Where they struck, matter simply ceased to exist, the black spheres negating whatever they touched. The device shuddered, but continued operating. The rift above it grew larger, more defined. Impressive, Threshold acknowledged. But futile. The anchor is self-sustaining now. Even if you destroy the physical components, the dimensional tear will remain. Mirko hadn't given up. Unable to attack Threshold directly, she focused on the remaining operatives, clearing a path for Naruto to approach the central pillar. Nejire continued disabling the control systems, her quirk proving remarkably effective against the technological components. 1 minute, Threshold announced. Can you feel it, Sage? The dimension stretching, binding. Soon, the barrier between worlds will be permanently altered. Travel will be possible, but only in one direction. Toward this world. Naruto reached the central pillar, examining the crystal within. It pulsed with energy, not just dimensional energy, but something familiar. Chakra. Specifically, chakra that resonated with his own. You've been experimenting with 6 paths chakra, he realized. Where did you get this? From your world, of course, Threshold replied. Where the remnants of the God tree still exist, for those who know where to look. Small fragments, barely noticeable, except to someone who understands their true nature. The implications chilled Naruto. Threshold had been to his world, harvested power from remnants of the God tree, the source of all chakra, the same entity that Kaguya had used to cast the infinite Tsukuyomi. You have no idea what you're messing with, Naruto warned. The God tree's power nearly destroyed my world once. It can't be controlled. By ordinary humans, perhaps, Threshold agreed. But I am far beyond ordinary, as you'll soon discover. 30 seconds. Mirko shouted, having overheard their exchange. Naruto, whatever you're going to do it now. Naruto made a split-second decision. If the anchor was drawing power from a God tree fragment, perhaps he could disrupt it with his own 6 paths chakra, fight fire with fire. He placed his hands directly on the crystal housing, channeling 6 paths energy into it. The crystal immediately reacted, glowing brighter as it resonated with his chakra. Yes. Threshold exclaimed, sounding genuinely pleased. Feed it your power, Sage. You're only accelerating the process. Naruto realized his mistake too late. The crystal wasn't fighting his chakra, it was absorbing it, using it to strengthen the dimensional anchor. He tried to pull away, but found his hand stuck fast to the housing, energy flowing from him into the device against his will. Naruto. Nejire cried in alarm, seeing his predicament. She rushed toward him, blasting away operatives who tried to intercept her. Stay back. Naruto warned. It's drawing my chakra, it might take yours too. The device was pulsing rapidly now, the rift above it expanding dramatically. Threshold spread his arms in triumph. Behold! The binding begins. Naruto struggled against the crystal's pull, but it held him fast, draining his 6 paths chakra at an alarming rate. Even his enormous reserves couldn't withstand this for long. Mirko reached him first, grabbing his shoulders and trying to physically pull him away. Let go, Whiskers, she demanded. I can't. Naruto gritted through clenched teeth. It's got me locked in. Nejire joined them, examining the connection. The crystals responding to his chakra specifically. If we could disrupt that resonance somehow. How? Mirko demanded. Nejire bit her lip, thinking rapidly. My quirk affects wave patterns. If I target the exact frequency where they're connecting. Without waiting for approval, she placed her hands near where Naruto's connected with the crystal and concentrated. Her quirk activated, sending carefully modulated waves into the junction point. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal's glow flickered, its grip on Naruto weakening slightly. It's working, he gasped. Keep going. Nejire intensified her effort, sweat beading on her forehead as she pushed her quirk to its limits. Gradually, the connection between Naruto and the crystal began to destabilize. No! Threshold shouted, his calm demeanor finally cracking. He gestured sharply, and dark energy lashed out from the rift, heading straight for Nejire. Look out! Mirko shouted, shoving Nejire aside and taking the brunt of the energy blast herself. She cried out in pain as it struck her, the dark energy wrapping around her body like living tendrils. Mirko! Naruto yelled, renewing his struggle against the crystal's hold. The rabbit hero was lifted into the air by the energy tendrils, pulled inexorably toward the expanding rift above. The binding requires a sacrifice, Threshold explained, his voice regaining its eerie calm. If not your power willingly given, sage, then your companion's life force will serve. No! Nejire cried, redirecting her quirk toward the tendrils holding Mirko. Her waves disrupted them momentarily, but they reformed almost instantly. Naruto watched in horror as Mirko was dragged closer to the rift, fighting against the tendrils but unable to break free. In that moment, something inside him snapped. A barrier he hadn't even realized existed shattered. Kurama, he roared, reaching deep within himself to the place where the Ninetales had always resided. And for the first time since arriving in this world, he felt an answer. About time, kid, came the familiar rumbling voice in his mind. I've been trying to reach you since you got here. Relief and determination flooded through Naruto. I need your power. Now. Then take it, Kurama replied. Let's show these dimension-hopping fools what a real tailed beast can do. Red chakra erupted from Naruto, breaking the crystal's hold instantly. It merged with his golden 6 paths energy, creating a swirling aura of orange-gold power that expanded outward in a shockwave, disrupting the entire chamber. Threshold staggered back, his semi-corporeal form flickering. Impossible. The Ninetales shouldn't be accessible in this dimension. You don't know anything about our bond, Naruto replied, his voice overlaid with Kurama's deeper tones. He looked up at Mirko, still suspended above the rift, and extended his hand. A chakra arm shot out, wrapping around her and pulling her free from the dark tendrils. As she fell, Nejire used her quirk to catch her, cushioning her descent. Mirko was unconscious but breathing. You okay? Naruto asked Nejire, the combined chakra of 6 paths and Ninetales swirling around him. She nodded, eyes wide at his transformed state. What about the anchor? I'll handle it, Naruto promised. He turned to face Threshold, who was frantically trying to stabilize the rift as it fluctuated wildly in response to the surge of tailed beast chakra. This changes nothing. Threshold insisted. The process is too far along to stop. Watch me, Naruto replied. He formed a hand sign, and 9 truth-seeking orbs materialized behind him, more than he'd ever been able to create before. With Kurama's power fully integrated with 6 Paths Sage Mode, his abilities had reached a new level. He directed the orbs toward the crystal at the center of the device, each one targeting a different point. Truth-seeking destruction. The orb struck simultaneously, and the crystal shattered with a sound like reality itself breaking. Dimensional energy erupted from it in a chaotic surge, the rift above contorting wildly. No! Threshold howled. Do you realize what you've done? An uncontrolled collapse will tear both dimensions apart. Then help me contain it. Naruto challenged. Or get out of the way. Threshold hesitated, clearly calculating his options. Then, with a gesture of frustration, he vanished, retreating to whatever between space he now inhabited. Coward, Naruto muttered. He turned his attention to the collapsing rift, which was now pulsing with dangerous intensity, energy lashing out randomly. Nejire. Get Mirko out of here, he shouted. This whole place is going to blow. I'm not leaving you, she protested, even as she supported Mirko's unconscious form. I'm the only one who can contain this. Naruto insisted. Please, trust me. Their eyes met for a moment, and Nejire saw the determination in his. She nodded reluctantly. Don't you dare die, Naruto Uzumaki. With that, she lifted Mirko and fled toward the exit, using her quirk to blast a path through debris and remaining operatives. Alone now, Naruto faced the collapsing dimensional tear. Drawing on both Kurama's chakra and 6 Paths power, he created a dome of energy around the entire device, containing the increasingly violent discharges. This is going to be rough, kid, Kurama warned. That's a lot of dimensional energy to absorb. No choice, Naruto replied. If it explodes unchecked, half the city goes with it. He tightened the containment field, forcing the chaotic energy inward, compressing it. The strain was enormous, like trying to hold back an ocean with his bare hands. Sweat poured down his face as he maintained concentration. The rift collapsed further, energy arcing wildly within his containment dome. The temperature inside rose dramatically as dimensional energy converted to heat and light, seeking any outlet. Almost, there. Naruto grunted, compressing the field tighter still. With a final, desperate push, he closed his fists, and the containment field contracted completely. For a split second, the energy had nowhere to go, and then it imploded, a miniature dimensional collapse that consumed itself rather than expanding outward. The backlash hit Naruto like a physical blow, sending him flying backward into the chamber wall. His enhanced chakra mode protected him from the worst of it, but the impact still knocked the breath from his lungs. As the dust settled, he found himself lying amid rubble, the anchor device completely destroyed. Where the rift had been, only empty air remained, the dimensional tier sealed completely. Nice work, kid, Kurama rumbled in his mind. Though your body's going to feel that tomorrow. Worth it, Naruto replied mentally, allowing the combined chakra mode to fade as exhaustion swept over him. Thanks for showing up when you did. Couldn't let you have all the fun, the Ninetales replied with what might have been affection. Besides, that rabbit woman seemed important to you. Couldn't let her get sucked into another dimension. Naruto didn't have the energy to argue with Kurama's implication. He pushed himself to his feet, wobbling slightly as the adrenaline faded. The underground facility was in ruins, but the dimensional threat had been contained. He made his way slowly toward the exit, following the path Nejire had taken. Emergency vehicles could be heard above, likely responding to what must have felt like an earthquake to the surrounding area. When he finally emerged into daylight, he found a full hero response team had arrived. All Might, Aizawa, and other pro-heroes were securing the perimeter while medical teams treated the injured. Naruto. Nejire spotted him first, rushing over. You did it. The reading's completely flatlined, the dimensional tear is gone. How's Mirko? He asked immediately. Here, came a gruff voice. Mirko sat on the back of an ambulance, looking battered but very much alive. A medic was treating burns on her arms where the dark energy had grabbed her. Takes more than some interdimensional nonsense to keep me down. Relief flooded through Naruto. He made his way over to her, legs still shaky from the exertion. Good to see you conscious. Good to be conscious, she replied dryly. Nejire told me what happened after I got zapped. You pulled out some new power. Old power, actually, Naruto corrected. I reconnected with Kurama, the Nine Tails. Whatever barrier was blocking us broke when I saw you in danger. Something flickered in Mirko's eyes, surprise, perhaps, or something deeper. Well, she said after a moment, glad your fox friend decided to show up when he did. I like her, Kurama commented in Naruto's mind. Direct. No nonsense. He likes you, Naruto told Mirko with a tired smile. The demon in your gut likes me. Great, Mirko deadpanned, but her ears betrayed her amusement, perking up slightly. All Might approached, his permanent smile somehow more genuine than usual. Young Uzumaki. A tremendous victory today. You've saved countless lives by containing that dimensional collapse. We all did, Naruto corrected, glancing at Mirko and Nejire. Couldn't have done it without them. Indeed. Teamwork at its finest. All Might boomed. And what's this I hear about you reconnecting with an old power? The Nine Tails, Naruto confirmed. Turns out he was here all along, just, separated somehow by the dimensional transfer. We're back in sync now. More or less, Kurama grumbled, though without real annoyance. This is excellent news, Nezu said, appearing beside All Might. Both for your personal well-being and our strategic position. With your full powers restored, Threshold will think twice before attempting another direct confrontation. Something went wrong with this response, please try again. It's time to move to the next chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.